All right, I'm making a new rule on the show. I didn't think I was going to have to do this, but I think I'm going to have to make a new rule. We can't call in and tease Sparky before the show even starts with a story. We can't do this because now I am losing my mind and I got to do a show and I can't go look. So Charlie's going to have to be the one doing research. Trell calls in before the show. We're in the break. He's like, hey, when are you guys talking Bucks? We're like, hey, we're talking Bucks 420. All right, sounds good. Hey, I saw this story on blah, blah, blah. And again, it's something that I want the Bucks to get, so I'm super excited. So then Charlie and I are now having a conversation off the air. Now we got to stop and do the rest of the show before we get to it. Don't tell me on the air. Just off the air, we can talk about it. Charlie, you better be right about what you called in Charlie about, because if you are, my brain's already working overtime trying to figure out how we get this done. So anyways, sorry. Now I teased all of you the way I got teased, and turn around, fair play. We got to talk about the Brewers. It's guest free today. There are no guests. I am so Brewers centric on today's show because this has been just an unbelievable run. Just an unbelievable run. I mean, first team in franchise history gets to 40 wins as quickly as they did. Now, I'll be honest with you. I was not up last night hanging out with Charlie and Tommy. They were on from midnight until 2 a.m. Tommy was telling me he kind of suckered Charlie into, hey, we'll have one more segment.
I was okay with
it. One more segment. And then before you know it, well, Pat Murphy talked. Let's go to 2, Charlie.
Well, we got a ton of callers still on the post game. Like, it was awesome. It ended up being a really great show, even though the Brewers just kept teasing us.
I heard Tony
again.
in Texas call in, the whole deal, right?
We got people from Texas, from Florida, from California, all over the country, man.
Dude, that's awesome. So, I go to bed last night, like going into the 9th inning. I was dead. I was falling asleep watching the game. Couldn't keep my eyes open. I was like, I'm done. I tried. I can't do it. I'm just exhausted. And I got to get up in the morning, put the kids together and get them to school and all that. Yes, kids are still in school where I live. Unbelievable. So anyways, I was like, I'm done. So then I get up. My girl, she gets up at 5:20 in the morning to get ready for her to go to work to start at 6:30. So I get up. I always send an email off every morning to the producers with some sound and stuff they can use for during the day or whatever. So in my half awoken state, I was like, oh, I wonder what the Brewers' final score ended up being, because they were down a couple, I think it was, going into the 9th. So I go and I look. I was like, holy crap, they won that game in 12 innings? And I was like, oh, man, Charlie and Tommy were there, and they never even got to do a post-game show because the game wasn't even over by the time they got off the air. Oh, man, that's horrible. So then I've been up since. Like, I did not go back to sleep. I've been up because then I was juiced. I was like, I got to see what happened. So then I'm like scrolling on X, looking for highlights and so forth. So then before I do that, go looking for highlights, I go on X and I go to our post-game live stream account that we have on X because I knew it was Charlie and Tommy. I was like, I wonder where it ended at. So I like fast forward and they're playing the Murphy presser. I was like, oh my God, they stayed on all the way to 2:00. So now I was like, okay, well, then I went all the way back to the beginning and then kind of like fast forwarding to see what moments I could catch. Now, mind you, Trevor and Josh are about to go on the air at this point. It's like 5 to 6, whatever it was this morning. And I come across this here.
Oh, and William Contreras just goes down to his butt. A 3-run dong off his butt. Are you kidding me?
I'm telling you right now, I could not stop laughing for a couple of minutes. I was like, that is amazing. And Tommy was like sitting on his chair. And when you watch the video, you go watch it on X, WI Sports Radio, just go back to the post-game show. He literally gets off his chair. He's like yelling into the microphone, up and off his chair going nuts. Dude, it was amazing. And the best part about this was, and I'm sure Tommy told this story, but they're coming out of break, and Tommy had put together like this hit highlight montage or whatever. And when you're watching the video, you hear the sound of the hit highlight montage. Tommy brings it back, and as Tommy is talking, Charlie's mouth goes like this, like just total shock, and like puts his hands up in the air like, oh my God, I think he hit one over the fence. And then Tommy just goes absolutely bonkers at that point. So now after that, I'm like, I stop. And it's like, okay, I got to go see what this looks like. And sure enough, Contreras swings and like goes down like to his butt with his legs
falls
crossed,
all the way to his
watching the home run go with the catcher right there squatting next to him as they both watched and he crushed that ball, Charlie.
467 feet, the longest home run by a Brewer all season. That was the longest home run since earlier in the game when Jake Bauers hit a 457-foot home run. So it was 10 feet farther than Bauers. It was just awesome. That whole game was drunk. That's what Tommy kept saying, is that it just felt like back and forth. I kept saying it felt like a Diamond Dynasty game from MLB The Show. It was just constant, these teams. And then right after Contreras hits the home run, you get Kurtz and Jonah Heim getting the back-to-back home runs.
Jonah Heim.
It was just crazy. Exit
velocity was what, 95?
Yeah. I don't like it when the Brewers were hitting bombs. The A's were just finding ways to get the ball to sneak over the fence on good MLB level swings. Like, it just felt like they were just sweet swings that were not
Jonah Heim hit the one lever. He's like on a pop up to right, and all of a sudden it got caught in the wind. And there was one later in the game when Abner Uribe comes into the game. The first pitch he throws, I think it was Lawrence Butler, hits it so hard off the bat. And me and Tommy were both like, "That's gone. Like, it's just gone. That's gonna be the game." They flip the camera to left field, and it's the laziest pop fly I've ever seen in my life. This game was insane because it was dictated by the wind. Because the wind at one point was blowing in, and it was a fiasco. Now, again, for those of you that don't understand why they're in Vegas playing in a minor league ballpark. This is not where the Athletics are playing going forward. Okay, they're not coming back here after. I don't believe this 3-game set. So they're playing the 3-game set here.
I think they have another series after this.
One more series.
6 games they're playing here.
I'll tell you right now, whoever the other team is, I'm petitioning Major League Baseball to not go. Like, I watch that. We're not going. There's a piece on Brewer Fanatic right now. If you go read it, talking about how they screwed the Brewers with this schedule. How you send a major league team to Colorado and then straight into Vegas to play this? I mean, Colorado doesn't look all that bad to hit in Colorado after what we saw last night in Vegas. I mean, this is insanity.
Funny enough, it's the Colorado Rockies facing the A's after the Brewers.
Well,
Las Vegas.
Even if I was them, I'd petition it. I mean, this is wait. Now, again, we're not going to know if it's real, but if tonight happens and we end up with, 10, 12 home runs combined between the two teams again and crazy. I mean, are you going to be okay going to 2 a.m. again if the same type of scenario plays out again?
We're going to have to figure it out, Sparky. We're going to figure it out. Me and Tommy are very much fly by the seat of your pants type of guys.
Yes, but it's again, I went back and I was listening to it. It was, you guys did a great job. So there's lots of stuff we got to get to. Another extension, it looks like, in the minor leagues for one of the Brewers' top prospects. We'll get to that coming up in the next segment. I don't want to direct this directly at Tommy per se, but just in general, there's been this talk, and I have not fought the talk. I have not been against the talk, but there's been this constant conversation for the last month. Jake Bauers has to play every game. He's got to be in the lineup every day. I don't care how you get him in there. He's got to play every day. Okay, fair enough. And he's been hot. Hit a home run again last night, right?
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah. But, dude, with all due respect, what about this cat?
I don't really mind either. I felt like I adjusted. That's another one, isn't it? There's another one up over the pool. Andrew Vaughn goes deep. That's his second of the season. We're going to have you on more, Shane. You're good for 3 runs. Yeah. You were never leaving.
So that was a home run by Vaughn. Then Vaughn came back up. That was in the 3rd. This is the 5th.
Fly ball left center. Back it goes, and it is off the top of the wall. Contreras will come around and score. It's an 8-5 game. Vaughn missed a home run by a couple of feet.
Then Vaughn came back in the 9th.
Down the left field line. That will score at least one. Contreras is coming home. Here comes Perkins. He will score. This game is tied.
Why doesn't the same conversation happen around Andrew Vaughn? Why? I just want to know. Dude's hitting like 360. Why are we not having you can't take Andrew Vaughn out of the lineup? You want to know what else happened last night to me?
What's that?
Your buddy, my buddy, Block, who calls in from time to time. It's been a minute since he's called in. He texted me last night. It's like, man, they can figure out how to get him to third base. And my response was, thank you.
People need to stop feeding weird delusions.
Dennis' response was, I just don't think defensively he'd be very good there. And I said, yeah, but you're doing this to get his bat into the lineup to give you the best offensive lineup. Yes, defensively, he's not going to be great. He's going to be below average. I understand, but I don't care because now I can have Bowers at first base, Vaughn at third, whatever you're going to do at shortstop. Maybe it's David Hamilton instead of Ortiz if Hamilton continues to hit. Bomb third sucked last night, but Hamilton at short, Terang at second, and then that outfield can be Yelich, Mitchell, and Frelick. I'm not sure how much longer they can give Sal, but that can be your outfield. And now Yelich at DH, there's your best offensive lineup, and let's roll and see what happens at that point. I don't think they're gonna do that. They don't want to have a void of defense at any position, and there will be a void of defense at third if you attempted to do this.
Which is why I think you're going to just start seeing Jake Bowers in right field more regularly. I think you have to get Sal Frelick out of this lineup. His bat hasn't gone anywhere. Garrett Mitchell was awful last night. He's the only batter that didn't do anything for the Brewers. I think this is something where you need to find that way to get both these guys into the lineup. And I think sacrificing that defense at third base to get Andrew Vaughn there and then have, I guess, in right field, that's still kind of gap in your offensive lineup. In center field, that gap in your offensive lineup, there's more pressure to change something out there in my mind when I think Luis Rengifo at least is getting walks and he's hitting the ball hard. And we keep saying all these things, which I all hate. I think he still needs to be replaced. And Joey Ortiz has 2 singles last night again. He's
and a defensive blunder.
He did have a defensive blunder, but I mean, it felt like a lot of people were just having defensive blunders in this game. New stadium for both teams. Maybe it was just a little weird. We'll chalk it up to that. But I think right now you have to figure out how to get one of these guys into right field where you lose less defensive value and still get both of them into the line.
Yes, you have to do something. And I don't know how much more obvious it is right now. And I remember last year, it was August, middle to end of August, whatever. And I went on the Score. And what's her name? Layla Rahimi or whatever. She was doing her show down there, and I hopped on. Mm-hmm. And I brought up Andrew Vaughn. I was like, hey, man, this dude's rolling here, blah, blah, blah. And she just starts laughing at me. She's like, oh, yeah, he's playing really nice right now. But, maybe not get so excited. Okay. They haven't had me back on that show since, but my God, it doesn't look like it was a blip in the second half last year. It looks like he figured it out. Now, maybe Jake Bowers will look this way next year, and then we'll say, they figured out Jake Bowers too. I mean, to this point, this organization has been, the pitching whisperers. That's what they are. You send to my son. I fix, I put out, and we're good, right? That's what it's been. Mm-hmm. Hitters haven't really had that necessarily, but all of a sudden, Vaughn last year, like, oh, maybe they got something here. And now you're talking about Jake Bowers now all of a sudden going, and Bowers is giving a lot of credit to Vogelbach. Fine with me. Give all the credit to Vogelbach you want. But if this is real here with Vaughn, and if Bowers is real, and Bowers puts together this campaign for second half of the year, first of all, they can't sign him. Like, that's not going to be a thing. He's going to be gone somewhere else. But Vaughn, you're going to get him for one more year, and then you got to make a decision on Andrew Vaughn as well.
This is going to be a huge offseason for the Brewers with both those guys. I think this trade deadline is going to be huge with potentially one of those guys too. When you have that much power at one position, that much offensive power at one position, you have to at least entertain some trade topics from some of these other teams, especially for Jake Bowers, who I think is like destined to be a Colorado Rocky next season. I just feel it in my bones that they're going to give him some kind of.
He's got to go whoever gives him the most money.
I think it's going to be the Rockies.
I just joined in. Did you just try to trade Jake Bowers?
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's what he just tried to do. You just heard that, right?
No, you misheard it.
No, I'm also the argument with Jake Bowers playing every day never meant that Andrew Vaughn shouldn't also be playing every day.
But Vaughn is the one that's been at the expense of Bowers playing every day.
Sparky,
understand that.
We've had this question.
I'm not saying you are the one that said he shouldn't play every day, but that's what Pat Murphy has been doing.
You just keep trying to put him at third base.
Fine, but Pat Murphy is the one that refused to play those two guys together forever.
We've had this conversation rolling for the last 2 days on post game. Sparky, who's the best offensive player on the Brewers?
Andrew Vaughn.
Andrew Vaughn is
right now.
He's
hitting 360. What's the argument?
Well,
what's your argument? He's hitting 360. What's the argument?
The
is
argument
anybody else hitting more than 360?
If you want an at bat right now, you're going to put Vaughn up there at the plate. A guy just needs to give you a good at bat, needs to give you a hit, a homer, whatever you're looking for. The best possible at bat. Who's the best offensive player? There's an argument.
This isn't the same question. You're asking who do you want in the clutch situation?
No, not necessarily.
No, the most clutch player on this team is Bowers. not arguable. Not arguable. But as far as best offensive player going right now, here recently, it's Vaughn. Like, he's hitting 360. That's not arguable.
You could argue it's Jackson Churio is the most clutch player on the team. You could argue Christian Yelich is a great at-bat, too. William Contreras, that was the most clutch swing of the season up until that point.
Bryce Train's just a dog. Like, I trust him.
Why not? There's an argument for 6 players on this team being the best offensive player. Absolutely, there is.
If we're talking clutch player, it's Bowers. In my mind, I don't think it's debatable.
I tricked him into Jake Bowers' clutch last year, and he can't deny it now.
Almost every time he delivers. I swear to God.
It's ridiculous, right?
But I mean, Terang comes up and it's a ground ball to second base.
No, Terang's been pretty good at like a slap single late in the game that you need really big time.
Yeah,
and
Frelick is rubbing off on Terang. Another reason to move on from Frelick, maybe to get him away from Terang. But again, so Terang, obviously all-star. He's going to be there at the end of the day, right? Yelich has shown his clutch throughout the year in different situations.
Sure.
So there's no arguing Christian Yelich. Again, he scares me. I think velocity up and he's in trouble sometimes. But so you have that with Yelich. Who else did you say? Contreras? Yeah, I mean, William Contreras is fine.
We did a poll of it 2 days ago, and I believe Contreras. So 6 guys got a vote. All 6 of those players at the top of the order.
I updated it with yesterday's numbers.
Oh, okay. And I believe the leader was Vaughn at that time. It might have been Bowers. Those were the 2 guys that were at the top of that list. And Contreras was the lowest to receive a vote. He got 1 vote of all of those guys, which still feels ridiculous to say, because if you were going to say who's the best player on this team, I think William Contreras is probably near the top of that list.
If a year ago, if it was June of 2025 and I said, Tommy, in June of 26, who do you think we'll be talking about as the best offensive player on the Brewers? You would not have said Jake Bowers.
That's not true.
Andrew Vaughn was.
I didn't have to believe it, but I would have said it.
Andrew Vaughn wasn't even here, I don't think, at this point last year.
Not up with the club until
so Andrew Vaughn wasn't a possibility.
Yeah.
Andrew Vaughn was in the minor leagues at this point.
Yeah.
There's no chance anybody saw this coming. People talk about the Brewers and the pitching and all of that, but that's just what Charlie and I were talking about. Pitching whisperers, fine, deserved credit to Hook and his staff, no question. But maybe we're starting to talk about hitting. If Bowers hits like this next year and he's still like this, then they fixed him. I think you can say that he's fixed.
Dan Vogelbach
he is what he is.
Jake Bowers.
And I gave him credit.
That's
fine.
That is you have no idea what like 18-year-old Tommy, how much he wanted to hear that sentence one day in his life, that Dan Vogelbach fixed Jake Bowers. Their numbers in June are ridiculous right now. The Brewers have put up 100 hits in 8 games now. 76 runs, I believe, is the most in Major League Baseball. They had the most doubles, triples, second in home runs, only to the Athletics, who just hit 7 yesterday. They have the highest batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage. They have a team OPS of 950 in the month of June right now. They're on an absolute tear.
They are. And they still suck at shortstop and third base.
They had 16 hits out of the first 6 in their lineup yesterday, and 2 hits from the last
Ortiz.
3, and they were Joey Ortiz, on both of them. Can you believe that there was no errors in the box score yesterday to that game?
No,
that's ridiculous.
No,
that's
the first inning alone.
Well, and Joey Ortiz absolutely botched 2 baseballs during that game.
Yes,
absolutely botched 2 baseballs. He's getting bailed out by official scorers now here with all these people talking
losing
about
a ball in the lights.
Yeah, they got people saying, Mitchell falling down in center field the other day, right? That's the same game. Yep. This team is actually not really that much like the team last year.
From what aspect? Defensively?
Well, they're not a defensive first team like they were last year. Nope. While the pitching was good.
Wait, did you just say play Vaughn at third?
No, I did not. I did not say that.
If they're not a defensive first team, then why not play Vaughn at third? If you're saying
why do you want Sal Frelick in the lineup so badly?
I don't think it's necessarily
you'd rather have Sal Frelick in the lineup than Luis Rengifo.
Mitchell in the lineup.
That's what you're saying. You'd rather have Sal Frelick than Luis Rengifo.
Okay, just hold on a second.
Yeah.
At the trade deadline, do you think there's going to be more legit bats coming from outfielders potentially, like Buxton and whoever else may be out there, or third base? I mean, there's just not going to be third base bats out there.
Depends on how you feel about Alec Boehm.
No, I don't.
I know. I'm the same way.
Mark Vientos, we in on that?
No. I would have been cool in 2023, but no, I don't need that anymore.
I just think you have a better chance of getting an impact bat outfielder that can help this lineup than you do of getting a third base bat that can have a sequel, same type of impact.
But that's just to replace Sal at this point. And also the platoon has become not Andrew Vaughn and Jake Bauers. The platoon has become Andrew Vaughn and Garrett Mitchell. That is what the platoon has become. They are playing Jake Bauers in the outfield when there is a righty, and they are playing, or rather when there is a lefty, and they are playing Jake Bauers at first base when there is a righty.
And this is what I'm talking about. We're figuring out a way to get Jake in there every single game, and we can't figure out a way to get a guy hitting 360 in there every game.
Andrew Vaughn has more games played in left field than he does at third base in his MLB career.
He's only got 2 games at third base.
Okay, so then put him in the outfield. He has more experience out there at that point. Why not? He's done it.
Sure, fine.
Oh my gosh.
That's what you want to do, but I want him in there every day. And if you're going to continue to split him to get Mitchell or Frelick at bats,
no, you know what should happen?
Mitchell,
you know what should
fine.
Christian Yelich should be playing the outfield against left-hand.
They're not going to put him in the outfield.
Way.
Christian Yelich should be playing the outfield against lefties.
That's not going to happen.
That's how you fix it. That's how you fix it. Sparky, Pat Murphy, how often does he just flat out not tell the truth to fans? How often? Because last year, do you not remember him saying Christian Yelich is our left fielder?
Didn't say it this year.
He is our left fielder. And that was never the case. We knew that when he said it in the moment. We knew we were calling his bluff on that.
And when he started playing left field, he got hurt. That's why they're not going to do that again.
That's just garbage. And they protect him by putting him in the leadoff spot, so his role changes. So they don't need him to hit home runs anymore. They just need him to get on base. Have some good base running moves. Christian Yelich is the most elite base runner at moments when you least expect him to be an elite base runner too.
Big stuff last night. Stealing third and then scored on that contact play.
And also the first to second tag. That was also ridiculous too. I don't know what Butler was doing there, but Yelich read it perfectly and beautifully to that point. But I still think that, I already know what this guy's going to talk about too. He brings it up every day on my show here. But I don't know, Spark. They're not going to move Vaughn over. I just wanted to upload in these segments here, and then you got sidetracked by trying to.
You just came in.
I was listening, and then he tried to trade Jake Bauers. That's where I got.
Signal.
No, I mean, Charlie, you just called him the most clutch player and the best player on the team, and Charlie just tried to trade him.
If you can't re-sign him, and he's going to have a lot of value at the trade deadline.
Oh my God!
What is the value at the trade deadline for him?
They're not getting a top 100 prospect for Jake Bauers.
No, it would have to be a big league player.
And you could put Jake Bauers with one of your
Stop. We're not doing this.
Yeah,
We're not doing
to get a legit. It would have to be a starter.
This is not happening.
Starting pitcher.
These are not rumors. These are drunk conversations at this point.
I mean, what if it's Bauers?
I'm done talking about this.
Hold on. What if it's Bauers?
You could offer Ohtani, and I'm saying no.
Okay.
That's crazy.
That's where I'm at.
That's where you're at.
Yeah.
Conversation.
That's where I'm at.
All right. Matt in Madison, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Tommy Wirtz, and Charlie Usen. What's up?
Hi, I just wanted to. You basically brought it up, but I was saying, what, Tommy? I know Tommy's answer now, but what about Bauers for Skubal because the Tigers could sign him, or Bauers for Peralta because the Mets could sign him.
But the problem is that doesn't work because both of those teams, unless something changes, are out of it. So they're not going to want a rental outfield.
I also love this.
But they could, they could potentially sign Bauers.
There's no way Jake Bauers is going to make $20 million a year playing anywhere, guys. I'm sorry. He might get a nice little deal after this.
How much?
There's no way he's making $20 million.
How much?
There's no way.
He's on pace to hit he's on pace to hit 30 home runs, Tommy.
If Jake Bauers makes $25 million a year, I feel like
20 million would tie him with Christian Walker for average contract value per year right now.
At 20 million?
Yep. 21 million would put him under Matt Olson, 18 and a half.
So he's going to come in somewhere between 12 and 15. I bet.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Yeah. He's not getting 20 million a year to play first base. I mean, I hope he does.
Mets need a first baseman. The Mets need a first baseman.
They do because they got rid of Alonso. Yeah, you're right, man.
Wow. Do you know how sad I would be if he went to the Mets? I'd almost rather him go to the Cubs at this point. That's not.
I'm done. We're not listening. You're not saying stupid stuff like that on my show. You go say it on your own show. We're not talking like that. Habish and Rotier, they're smart. They're smart. That's why they have the national reputation, right? Habish and Rotier, Habish.com. If you're injured in a car accident and you don't know what to do, your car is totaled, you're in the doctor's office, or God forbid, you're in the hospital, and your world is kind of going upside down and being spun all around, and you don't know which way to turn, and you're trying to get everything organized. You have to have people that you can trust. You just do. It's imperative. I went through that scary situation myself. And I'm telling you, you have to be able to trust the person you're going to, that they're going to do what's in the best interest of you, and that they have you front and center when they're trying to fight for you. You don't want to walk out of the lawyer's office and be like, did they listen to anything we said? Kind of felt like they were rushing us along to get out of the office because they had somebody else coming in after us. You don't want that, right? 13 locations with Habish, and Retier across the state of Wisconsin, whether it be the game in Wausau. If you're listening there, they got a location right there in Wausau. If you're listening to us in Green Bay, Appleton, the Fox Valley, got locations by you as well. All over southeastern Wisconsin, in Madison, Lake Geneva, all over. Take advantage of it today. Check them out. It's Habish.com. Habish, and Retier, national reputation, hometown service. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. I wish y'all could hear Tommy when he rages and breaks. It's so much fun. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer here, along with our guy Charlie Usen, other side of the glass. People reacted to Tommy Wirtz, of course, on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. I'm talking about Christian Yelich playing left field. Ron Rome says, Tommy, you're young. Once you have back surgery, you can't do all the things you used to do. I think it's smart to put Yelich in the leadoff and not have him in the outfield. I'm surprised he can play as much as he does already. Ron in Rome. I will say this about this whole back surgery thing. My dad had back surgery when he was younger as well. Now, he had disintegrated discs disintegrate like all over his back. They did the back surgery. He came out an inch shorter, had to buy new pants, had to make adjustments to the pants, everything else, right? So I can get down with that. Now, was his back ever the same? No, not really. But it wasn't the excruciating pain that he was, necessarily in before. Back surgeries, you can have one, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your back is going to be fixed necessarily going forward. We've got a guy in our sales department that's been through the ringer with his back. And on my way in here, he's over there stretching on over the top of a ball in the sales room floor and everything else. Has to. Otherwise, he's going to have back issues again. And he had the surgery already, but it doesn't necessarily fix it. Like, as far as I know, now maybe you can be like, Sparky, you're wrong. I'm an example. Okay, maybe there are examples, but I myself don't know anybody that's had a back surgery that was pain-free, never had issues with the back the rest of their life. I don't know of that necessarily.
I don't think you have that with really any kind of surgery. Most surgeries, you're like hurting your body in order to fix it again and put it back into place because it can't heal itself. So I don't think in that scenario ever you're going to feel exactly the same as you did before. And I think people just find ways around and find ways to adapt, which I think you see in like the NBA a lot with these guys that are normally high flyers that have the knee surgeries and all of a sudden they turn into sharpshooters from three. Right. Or you have Brook Lopez doing the same thing when he has the back problems that he does when he's with the Lakers and throughout all that situation. And you just find ways to adapt and find ways to become a different part of your team if you're a good player. And I think Christian Yelich has relatively done that throughout the past few years of him dealing with major injuries to the back surgery. He's found ways to adapt. And I think playing DH every day, being a leadoff guy, if that's what it means for this Brewers team to keep him on the field and keep him an important piece of this offense, then you have to do that.
Let's see, Ziggy, he says, Bowers every game, Vaughn every game. We have Mitchell and Frelick that need to be pushed to be better, and this is the way to do it. They are platoon players until we can see consistent production going forward. The problem, sort of, I guess, is at this point, is what Tommy was saying earlier when he was in here, that it appears that Vaughn and Mitchell are really the platoon here. When Vaughn plays, Mitchell is out. The thing that is a little bit concerning to me is what the Brewers did today before we came on the air. And that's what we're going to talk about next. The Brewers rewarded, I would say, AAA outfielder Luis Lara, 21 years old, 5'7", never has shown any ability to drive the ball with any type of power in his minor league career. A brief one, right? I mean, he's 21. Until this year. Now, all of a sudden, power oozing out of him and was playing really, really well. In fact, he was playing so well that we were talking about, man, why don't they just bring him up? Forget Blake Perkins. Let Luis Lara come up and play. And I think a lot of Brewers fans are sick of Perkins and would like to see Lara come up. Well, now all of a sudden, Lara hasn't played for the last several days, and people are like, what is going on? And you saw speculation of, hey, when they did this to Cooper Pratt at the beginning of the year, they were giving him an extension. Or maybe they're trying to trade him, and that's why he's not out there, because they're trying to keep him healthy. The extension thing, I'll be honest, I blew that whole idea off. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, he's had 2 months of power. We're not extending somebody based off of 2 months of power. Now, defensively, he's gold glove caliber defense. Like, this dude is a stud defensively. There's no questioning Lara in the outfield. Like, he is all of that in a bag of chips. Is the power real and all that? I have no idea. I mean, right now, again, a couple months in, it looks like it's for real. But again, he's small. He's small like Frelick. Well, he's smaller than Frelick. He's small like Jet Williams. He's Jet Williams size. I think he's 5'7" too. So you've got another smaller dude that packs a punch. So wouldn't you know? out comes a report earlier today. Now, again, you all follow whoever you want to follow on X. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, if you don't follow this guy, you're an idiot or whatever. I'm not going to do that. But I would highly, highly suggest that if you are a Brewers fan, and especially if you're a minor league Brewers fan and you like following the prospects, Spencer Michaelis on X, S Michaelis 234 on X is the dude, one of the dudes that you need to follow. Like, he's always posting minor league highlights. He's a college pitching coach to begin with, so he knows what he's talking about. Like, it just makes all the sense. We'll just follow this dude. So he posts earlier this afternoon, like an hour and a half ago. Sources are telling me that the Brewers have, as speculated, agreed to terms on extension with top 100 prospect Luis Lara. And then he puts down what he's hearing the terms of the deal to be. Then, a few minutes after he posts that, he posts that it sounds like 7 years, 3 team options winds up being the deal, rather than 8 years with 2 team options and $30 million. Okay? He broke this story. It's not even debatable. He broke it, and because the next person that came out with this after he had his was Jeff Passan from ESPN. Passan has the details all the way through, right? Luis Lara and the Brewers are in agreement on a 7-year, $31 million contract extension that includes 3 club options, sources tell ESPN. Lara, 21, has dominated AAA this season. Deal maxes out at a potential $79 million, obviously based on numbers and stats and everything else. The reason why I said maybe a little bit concerning, number one, as Charlie and I were talking about, what is going on? Because you give Cooper Pratt this money, not a lot of money, right? Not a lot of money at all. What is it, like $6 million a year or whatever it ends up being? $6 to $7 million a year. Now you come back with this dude, 7 at 31. That's like just over $4 million a year, between $4 and $5 million a year, not even enough to be 5. Now it maybe gets to be more than that if he hits the escalators. And he's sitting there at AAA as an outfielder. If I'm Garrett Mitchell and if I'm Sal Frelick and I'm seeing that deal, just like if I was Joey Ortiz or David Hamilton seeing Pratt's deal, I know my time is probably not going to be here forever, that they're getting ready for somebody else to essentially be in my position. Now, that position is probably Garrett Mitchell's is center field, and maybe it saves Sal Frelick for a little while longer. I think Adam Shesky coming up is eventually going to be out there, but Garrett Mitchell, you have been put on notice, my friend, and potentially Sal Frelick too. Forget Blake Perkins. Like that's not even a factor here because he's not long term on this team. He may not even make it on this team for the rest of the year. They're going to have to make a roster decision here because now you put Lara on the 40 man, right? And then somebody else is going to have to go. And as Charlie and I were discussing off the air, it's got to be Baду because he's not doing anything in AAA anyhow, right? So,
well, or Blake Perkins, just because you're sick of that. I know he has
Pat Murphy. I'll go down with Blake Perkins. Yes, he is. I agree.
It's unbearable to watch him sometimes in the batter's box. Every time he comes in to pitch hit, it's so annoying to watch him come out there. Yesterday when he was running the bases, he probably could have scored from a play from second to third on a single that I think Christian Yelich hit up the middle. I feel like a lot of things have just been going downhill with him so far this season. I know he's Pat Murphy's guy, but Matt Arnold at some point has to make a decision. And I think Matt Arnold has to be the guy that says, Pat, sit down with me. We can't keep doing this. This can't keep going on. We are a better team than some of these players we're putting out on the field, and we have guys in the minor leagues that at least have the potential to be better than what we're showing right now at some of these positions. Let's go from being just this really good team to being the best team by far in the league by giving some other guys an opportunity.
I got a text here from the 414. Sparky, power isn't necessary for Lara. Okay. My response to you is if he doesn't show the power, they're not paying him.
Right.
No chance. If he's got no home runs, his exit velocities aren't up, and he's slap hitting it all over like Frelick, there's no way they're doing this. But now that he comes back and shows that maybe he can hit 10 to 12 home runs a year, 10 to 15 home runs a year, now all of a sudden it's like, okay, center fielder, gold glove, hit for a decent average, hit 10 to 12, 15 home runs a year. That's pretty good. That's the same type of projection you have for Jet Williams. It's pretty much the same type of numbers that you think you're going to get from Jet Williams, who you got in this Mets deal.
You're looking for that Michael Harris type of player, I think, to man that center field position eventually for you. And whether that's Luis Lara, whether that's Jet Williams, whether that's Garrett Mitchell, you need one of those guys to step up and be a consistent defender out there that you don't have to worry about, and then also give you a little boost on offense when needed.
Correct. And that's the thing here. So I'm happy the Brewers got this done with Lara. Midday, please. Fisher, please. Now, maybe they have a rule they won't extend until you get to AAA. Maybe that's a rule in the organization. That very well could be a rule in the organization. So maybe next year or this offseason, once Midday is officially at AAA, maybe then they get the Midday deal done. And Fisher is only in high A. So God knows how long it's going to take before he gets to AAA at this point. But both of those guys deserving of extensions for sure. All right, coming up next, I want to talk about Charlie's theory on why they're extending these minor league guys. Because I literally have heard nobody else talk about this. Nobody. So we'll do that coming up next. Did you know that any youth sports player can score a free small classic Frosty anytime they visit Wendy's in their sports uniform? That's right. Just stop by after practice or with your team after a game. Who doesn't love a Frosty? And again, no purchase necessary. You can drive through the drive-through. Little Johnny's there in his baseball uniform or soccer uniform or whatever the case may be. You tell them they're their uniform, and you get a Frosty for the kid. You can drive away. You don't have to order anything else. Now, you're going to, because who goes to Wendy's and only orders a Frosty? You're going to order more than that, obviously, but no purchase necessary. Take advantage of that, and your kids will love you for life. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky, Fiver Charlie Hughes on the other side of the glass. Talking about Luis Lara for his AAA outfielder. 7 years, $31 million deal. Incentives and all that can get over $70 million before the whole thing is said and done. But that's just over $4 million a year. Cooper Pratt's making like, what, $6 or $7 million a year. Churio is locked up as well for a number of years. And Charlie seems to have a theory, an idea on what the Brewers may be up to. Because I look at it and go, okay, they're just making sure that they got all these guys under control and they're making their next window gigantic where they don't got to worry about losing guys when they play really well.
This may be me going delusional because I want all these guys to just eventually get to the major league level and they're just not. So I feel like there's got to be some conspiracy theory underneath it. When I hear a contract like this for a guy like Luis Lara, who's only really put up 2 months of production like this for the Brewers, that, I guess in my mind, tells me, A, they're either 100% sold on him and that they're bringing him to the major league level as quick as possible, or B, that's a contract in order to sweeten the deal for any kind of trade package that you may put a guy like Luis Lara into moving forward here for a Tarek Skubal, for a Yordan Alvarez, for a Byron Buxton, because now that makes him look like a much more enticing prospect. Not because I think a lot of these teams are coming back to the Brewers going, hey, it's only been 2 months. They're going to say exactly what we're saying right now. It's only been 2 months of this. What else can you give us? And this way they can say, well, now we don't have to throw in an Andrew Fisher. We don't have to throw in the Luis Peñas. Maybe we can offer you this guy who has 2 months of production, but also has another 7 years after this where he can potentially be better than what he's showing right now. And Cooper Pratt could potentially be in the same boat when you have a Jesus Madej at the AA level who's playing as well as he is. When you have Luis Peña, like I mentioned, when you have Jet Williams playing really well already, you have other options there. It creates a lot of flexibility for the Brewers to either trade these guys or keep them if they wanted to.
Again, if you look at this infield of the future of what it could look like, it could be Fisher at third, Madej at second, shortstop Pratt, and Burke could be at first base, who's at AA right now. That could end up being what the infield looks like. It could be Madej at third, Fisher at first. Figure out a way to pay Terang. I can't see how, but you keep Terang long-term with Pratt at shortstop. Maybe that's it. We're not even talking about Luis Peña, who, when he's on the field, is tearing it up right now with the Timber Rattlers. So that's another guy coming. Another guy
catchers
that's
and waiting for William Contreras. In the outfield, even if you were to trade Lara, you still have Braylon Payne, who's played really well at the single A level.
Adam Shefsky's coming at high A too.
If they keep up that pace, they should be here in 3 years, 2 to 3 years, if the Brewers decide to fast track them maybe a little bit too. I think you have a lot of options moving forward here for this Brewers team. Whether or not you want to keep prospects, whether or not you want to trade prospects, I don't think this contract excludes these types of guys from those trades.
Totally agree with you. Got another one coming in on Yelich's back from the 715. Back surgery is always the last option and usually just a minimal pain or pressure reliever. At 45, I've had 3 bad discs and they let me wait until the last option for surgery after 4 years of pain. Yeah, I don't understand that at all. I'll be honest with y'all. I don't. I mean, I know it's a thing because obviously I've been through it. My dad, when he had his surgery, he was literally dragging his leg. He was in so much pain at that point. Dragging his leg. He could barely walk. And then they finally had the back surgery. All right, coming up next, there are some all-star guesses and rosters of what they may look like. They got 3 Brewers there, but should there be more? And do they have the right 3? We'll discuss that coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Time now for your fan weather forecast, brought to you by the Milwaukee Area Napa Auto Care Association, and it is a steamy one here in southeastern Wisconsin. 80 degrees, actually 81 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. Low tonight of 64 degrees.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is time again. We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Had a guy earlier text me, bro, quit screaming, man.
That's
Talk at a normal voice, man. Bro, for 20 years I've been screaming. I scream at home. I scream at everybody. It's not just you. Don't feel too special. I scream at everybody. I scream when I'm not on the radio. Right? Would you agree with that?
You're excitable. I guess is the best way to put it, no matter what. Yeah.
That's who I am, man. Sorry. I'm sorry if you don't like it, but I don't think it's going to change.
We got plenty of other great shows, too, that don't have screamers. So if there's something else that's your style,
yes.
9 to noon.
No doubt. Josh and Trevor, they do not have screamers at all. The 9 to noon show has somebody that laughs constantly, and Rami that apparently annoys people. So they have that. Thunder is very excitable on the Mason Crosby show, so he gets very worked up.
Loud too, yeah.
Tommy also can get loud with Mitch. So yeah, there's really not. Only you got the morning show. That's about all you got, really.
Sometimes Josh can get loud too. Now that I think about it,
he can, but not as loud in the morning.
That's true.
Not as loud in the morning. It is 3:00. Let's go.
It's time to talk about the Crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
I said at the start of the show, it's going to be a very Brewer-centric show. I was not joking. Now, we have some Packer conversation coming up in the next segment. Charlie Sounds today at 3:40. More Packer conversation as minicamp, Packers minicamp got underway today, so we'll tell you all about that coming up at 4:00. Bucks conversation, Giannis conversation coming up at 4:20. And then things that we missed on today's show, including the Brewers, according to reports, are being investigated for bullying. We'll get into that coming up at 4:40. And Texas Tech, they may not have a schedule to play going forward in all their sports the way this is going based on all these reports. We'll talk about that too. So here in this segment, we talked about, last night, how great that was. Don't forget leadoff show with Tommy Wirtz tonight from 8 till 9 o'clock. Charlie and Tommy back on the airwaves again tonight on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. After the last pitch, you make the switch. Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show. Tim Allen in Vegas at the game. I was talking to him earlier today. He got a Las Vegas Athletics jersey as a giveaway last night at the game. That he said is very cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Does it say anything like on the back, or is it just like a blank?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think he says it's either said, I think it says Athletics on the front and Las Vegas on the back, or Las Vegas on the front. And I don't know.
He also had the biggest corn dog I've ever seen in my entire life. He sent a video to Tommy of it. It was massive. It was a jalapeno cheddar one. Sounded really good. But
nice.
It was huge.
Yeah. So Tim's having fun. It's Vegas. And that is where Tim loves to be. So Tim is off today and then tomorrow as well. So Charlie and Tommy doing their thing. Off day Thursday. Then the Brewers come home to play the Phillies. And Charlie and I were talking about this in the break. Like, if they got swept by the Phillies, I wouldn't be surprised. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Phillies, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, they are going to be so drained from playing in Colorado and now playing in Vegas. You're going to go through a ton of pitchers. If last night is any indication what today and tomorrow is going to look like, it would not be surprising at all if they really had problems. And Charlie, you pointed out, like, they're going to come back and Miz is going to pitch right away against the Phillies. So that'll help. But if I were the Brewers, I'd send them home now. Like, you don't need to be here. Throw your bullpen day at home at American Family Field. Get out of this mess and relax and get ready to go from when we come back into town. Because
would you just send all 3 of those stars home? Because Drowan's the next one, and then you have Harrison, who had his rough start yesterday. Yep. Maybe you just send him home a little bit early too. Just get him all ready to go.
Definitely get Harrison out of Vegas as soon as possible. Yeah, out you go. Just let's not
It's not
act
for
like,
everybody. Vegas isn't for everybody.
Let's act like that outing never happened. Let's just out you go to Harrison. Yeah, all three of them can go home. But I wanted to talk about this. So the Athletic and ESPN came out with their predictions for the All-Star rosters, and they both agree that the three Brewers representatives, as we sit here today, June 9th, knowing that, the All-Star game and the Classic is in the middle of July, right now in their mind, you have three Brewer representatives. Now, again, this was before the game last night with Harrison. But Mizorowski, Terang, and Harrison. Those are the three Brewer representatives that they think make it to the All-Star game. And it's in Philadelphia, I believe, this year, right?
It is, yes.
So those are the three. The question I have for you is, do you think anyone else gets in from the Brewers? Maybe you don't think Harrison gets in after last night now and somebody else goes. Maybe it's just Miz and Terang. What would you say right now as we sit here today? Who do you think ends up making it for this to the All-Star game? Do you think ESPN and The Athletic have it right? Nicolay Law Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Streaming live on the socials at WI Sports Radio, X, YouTube, Instagram Live, and of course on the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page as well. And again, if you're on YouTube, smash that like button and subscribe while you are there. We're trying to reach a goal for Tommy by the end of the month of a certain amount of subscribers. So we'll see if we can get that done for Tommy Wirtz. I think that Harrison game last night may have kicked him right out of it. We'll see how he pitches going forward. But
you think Charlie, it did that much damage? What's his
ERA?
I believe it jumped up to like a 2.8-ish last time when me and Tommy were looking.
The pitching is so good in the NL. There are so many guys that have sub 3 ERAs right now.
So 2.72.
Right. There are so many guys that have sub 3 ERAs or right around 3 ERAs. And you're talking about potentially the third player on one team to go with numbers that may match the only player going from another team. I just think when he was under 2, it was like, yeah, he's going. You can't turn away somebody with a sub 2 ERA. Obviously, he's going. I don't know if he can get that ERA back down to straight up 2 or under 2 between now and then. If he can, if he's at 2 or less, then yeah, I think he goes.
I mean, he's still slotted in there as the 9th best starting pitcher with that ERA. He's right above Max Meyer at number 9 of Miami. But you got Miz, Sanchez, Burns, Chris Sale, Eduardo Rodriguez, Justin Robleski, Bryce Elder, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto all ahead of him right now, ERA.
And those are all All-Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the Marlins are going to have an All-Star. So that very well could be Meyer, like you're talking about. That might be their one and only All-Star representative.
Otto Lopez has played pretty well for them, too. And
yep, that's another one. But if he gets voted in, then you don't got to worry about having to put Meyer in necessarily. So that changes it. The other thing to keep an eye on, and I know it's a long shot, but as we sit here today, the Brewers have the second best record in all of Major League Baseball. They're in front of the Dodgers now record-wise. So they're only chasing the Braves. I mean, if we get into a situation where they're the best record in baseball at the All-Star break, then it's hard to say that they don't deserve 3, 4, 5 guys into the All-Star game because you're going to be lobbying for that if you're the Braves right now. Hey, we have the best record. I want 3 or 4 guys in at least to represent my team. Now, they have to be deserving. Now, Tommy Wirtz is a guy that believes in Jake Bauers and thinks he should be there. And Charlie and I, listen, I want to make it very I don't want us to be known as the Jake Bauers bashers. I just don't think, based on everybody else right now in the National League, I don't think he makes it.
It's not his fault. It's really just not his fault. When you look at the rest of the National League, the fan vote is either going to go to Bryce Harper, who is a Philadelphia Philly. He's going to get in that game no matter what. I think he's either going to be the starter or the reserve first baseman in this game. And then I think Matt Olson gets in too as well. He has 17 homers. He has an 877 OPS, a 2.7 WAR at first base. Like, that's all absolutely absurd. And then Freddie Freeman is always going to get a number of fan votes.
Right.
And I think the other thing that hurts Jake Bauers too is the guy that's on his own team that also plays first base. If Andrew Vaughn keeps playing as well as he does, and you have both of these guys, I think a lot of people are going to be split between who do you give that nod to. And then the other guys on his team, I agree. I think Jacob Mizorowski, Kyle Harrison, Bryce Terang are all All-Stars to me at this point. If I was guessing and predicting right now, I'd add one more to that list. Aaron Ashby is probably going to be an all-star too for this Milwaukee Brewers team. So then you have those 4 guys ahead of Jake Bauers right now, in my mind, in the all-star voting. It's just going to be really tough to get him in. And you don't see a lot of teams with 5 all-stars unless they're completely dominating the league.
Correct. And again, if the Brewers have the best record in baseball,
they'd be dominating the league.
You might be able to say that, right? Top first baseman in baseball. This is according to Yahoo Sports. Ben Rice of the Yankees is 1.
Fair. Yeah.
Matt Olson is having an unbelievable year right now. He is 2 and is making a case for NL MVP.
Yeah.
So that's going to be your first baseman, I think. Murakami is hurt for the White Sox, and again, not in the NL. Kurtz with the Athletics. Saw him last night. See him again tonight, but again, AL. Wilson Contreras. Red Sox, but again, not in the AL. Bryce Harper of the Phillies is another one that maybe you consider. Now, why do you consider him? Well, first of all, we start talking about Bryce Harper. He is in Philadelphia, and that is where the All-Star game is. I find it hard to believe Bryce Harper is not on the All-Star roster if his numbers are halfway decent at this point.
He's going to be on the All-Star roster. He said if he's an All-Star, he's probably going to do the home run derby too. He had said that in an interview before the season. And he also just has a resume. He has a track record behind him.
Third in OPS among MLB first basemen going into the week. 3rd in OPS. So he deserves to be there. So he's definitely going. So now we've got 2 guys. Olsen and Harper are definitely going at first base. Then you've got Freddie Freeman.
Yep.
He's 5th in OPS among MLB first basemen. 3rd amongst Dodgers in hits. Burleson with the Cardinals is right there as well. And then who else? Aranda with the Rays, AL. Christian Walker of the Astros, AL. No mention of Jake Bauers at all. He's not making it. I mean, I'd love to see him make it, but unless there's injuries or guys saying we're not going to Philly because it's Philly, I don't think he's going to get in. Jeff in Milwaukee uses the Nicolay Law talk and text line. Yeah, Harrison out. If someone can tell the smart guys how much Contreras helps the pitching staff, he should definitely be in. Bauers won't be in. No respect yet from Jeff in Milwaukee. Now, I'm with you on William Contreras. I'd be all about him getting in. I just don't know if offensively if his numbers will be there to get in compared to the other catchers.
Well, and right now, for batting average wise, there's only 4 qualified catchers in the entire National League. It's Drake Baldwin, William Contreras, Liam Hicks, and Hunter Goodman. And William Contreras is pretty solidly that number 2 catcher in the National League behind Drake Baldwin. I think Drake Baldwin for sure gets the start. He's been phenomenal this season. I wouldn't be surprised if William Contreras is the backup catcher, though. I don't see a lot of other guys, and I know there's about another month left here that are going to catch up to that pace, though.
So right now, as we look at it, like for, say, the Athletic, if we go through and look at what they have for the catcher position, they have Drake Baldwin of the Braves and Hunter Goodman as the backup with Liam Hicks.
Well,
so those 3 guys going for the catcher position.
And that's because Hunter Goodman probably has to be in there as the Colorado Rockies representative. Yeah. He's the only guy that really seems like deserves
solo representative this year, the Athletic Braves.
Yeah. I don't like Liam Hicks. That they must be saying he's the only representative for the Miami Marlins too.
He's got Hicks has been a pleasant surprise for the Marlins, hitting 12 homers while posting an .815 OPS.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd still think I'd put William Contreras in just because I think the coaching staffs, the guys that are going to be voting for those backup players will recognize his defensive value for sure.
I'm just going through here on the pitchers to see if the Marlins have Max Meyer in there. They do not. So that would be their lone representative, I think. Let me go back to second base, though. Second base. Yeah, they have Xavier Edwards in at second base with Bryce Terang. Terang, the starter, Edwards in. So that would not be their lone player. They would have multiple people in.
So I think you could afford not to have Liam Hicks in there, especially since they brought up Joe Mack to be splitting time catcher-wise with Liam Hicks as well, because Liam Hicks was awful defensively. Right. I think that hurts him a little bit when William Contreras can be an everyday guy compared to somebody who's splitting reps like we're talking about with Jake Bauers and Andrew Vaughn. I think that gives you a little bit more value when it comes to those coach votes, those player votes.
Now, pitching, Aaron Ashby, you could argue, should be considered for this as well, right? Because he's sitting up on top with wins and so forth. Now, again, another night that you're going to want to forget about come all-star time, because this is going to inflate his ERA again like he pitched last night. But right now, Christopher Sanchez is the starter. Fine. Then it's Mizorowski, Sale, no argument there, Chase Burns, Paul Skeens, Yamamoto, Kyle Harrison. Now, again, this was before last night. Braxton Ashcraft of the Pirates, Eduardo Rodriguez of the D-backs, Mason Miller of the Padres, Duran of the Philadelphia Phillies, and Iglesias of the Braves. Those are your guys right now, according to the Athletic?
I would not have Paul Skeens in this as of right now.
There's no chance.
I think there's way too many other starting pitchers that deserve that spot over him at this moment right now. Even Kyle Harrison, after a bad start last night, Paul Skeens looks good, yes, but he still has a 3.09 ERA compared to the rest of the guys. His strikeout numbers are only at 82 compared to some of the other guys at the top of the list, when especially Jacob Mizrowski and Christopher Sanchez. I mean, he's just not hitting the same kind of peak that he has the past couple of seasons.
But this is baseball's all-star game. There has to be some type of entertainment value.
Isn't Miz that, though?
Hold on. I agreed. But you put Mizrowski in last year for the spectacle. That's why you put him in. This year, he goes in because he earned the damn thing. Okay?
Mhm.
Just being fair. Last year, Skeens went in because he deserved it.
Right.
This year, he's going in because he's Paul freaking Skeens. Like, that's why he's going. You know how it is in baseball. The 1 year, Nomar Garcia-Parra was out all year, and the fans voted him as the starting shortstop, and he didn't play all year, and he got voted in. But again, that's those paper ballots, right? So that was a while ago. But that's what happened. I just think
But
to have
fans
an
don't
all-star,
vote for those pitchers.
I know
so
that.
Maybe that saves him a little bit.
I just think if I'm the commissioner of baseball, Paul Skeens is pitching in this all-star game. And I do not care about everybody else. But Miz is pitching, Sanchez is pitching, and Skeens is pitching. After that, do what you want. Because, Chase Burns goes for the Reds. We know that. So he's in.
Otani pitch too in this game? Doesn't he sneak in there? Yamamoto pitches.
Yamamoto, I said Otani and Yamamoto.
You have other options outside of Paul Skeens, though, is my point. Like, out of those top three premier guys, you have two other guys that I think are premier enough right there too. And that's premier globally.
Dude, but just go back and look at this though, Charlie. I mean, so listen to this. So you start with Sanchez.
Mhm.
He pitches an inning or two. Then it's Mizrowski. Then it's Sale. Then it's Chase Burns. Then it's Skeens. Then Yamamoto. Then Harrison may or may not pitch. Ashcraft may or may not pitch. Rodriguez may or may not pitch. Because then you go to the bullpen and it's Miller, Duran with Philly, and Iglesias on the backside. That's that. I mean, Harrison may get in and may not even pitch.
Yeah, maybe not. Or maybe he gets to pitch over Paul Skeens. I don't know. There's other guys deserve that over Paul Skeens.
How does the AL even score in this game? I don't even see how the AL
Aaron
scores.
Judge hits 10 home runs. Maybe Jordan Alvarez gets a
if
couple.
he's healthy. I mean, Judge is hurt. I mean, I don't know if he'll even be back by that time. Okay, we'll take a quick time. I'll come back. We'll switch gears. Go to the Green Bay Packers. They had their mini camp today. We'll talk more about that during the Green and Gold update at 4:00. But contract details officially came out on Christian Watson. Now, I know there are some people that were questioning what the heck the Packers were doing giving him all this money. I understand. Wait till you hear the actual real details of this deal. I think you're going to be okay with this deal if you didn't like it before. And those of you that thought it was a good deal before, you're really going to think they stole them after I give you the details of the contract coming up. So don't you just go anywhere, and stay tuned for these Christian Watson contract details. Let me tell you about my fine folks over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. There's a big food menu filled with a bunch of new items, and I can't wait to try it all out. All-day brunch with steak and eggs, a steak and bagel sandwich, pancakes, and more. Wisconsin-style appetizers that feature a lot of cheese, of course. It's got all things chicken like wings and tenders, build your own burgers, desserts highlighted by the MVP Turtle Sundae. Tons of cold beverages to go with your all-star meal. Must be 21 to enter the casino. Bet above the rest. The Potawatomi Sportsbook in Milwaukee. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Hope you all are well. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer here. Charlie Usen producing today's show. Charlie Sounds of the Day coming up in the next segment. Lots of good stuff here as we talk a little bit about Christian Watson and the Green Bay Packers. Now, again, like I said before, this deal was good already, or so most thought. But it ends up being even better than what I think everybody thought at the end of the day. We just talk cap numbers, okay? Just cap numbers. His cap number, Christian Watson's cap number in 2026 this year will be $10.5 million, okay? His cap number in 2027 will be 11.5. Again, no big deal. His cap number in 2028, age 29 season, will be $24.5 million. All right? Still with me? In 2029, age 30 season, we know how much Goody loves having guys that are 30 and over on his team. Age 30 season, his cap number is $29.1 million. But wait, just wait. His dead cap number, $13.6 million. So if they want to boogie out on this cat before his age 30 season in 2029 and save $16 million, they can. Absolutely, they can.
That's exciting.
And if you go to the last year of the deal, 2030, his age 31 season, that cap number comes back down to $26.2 million. Then the dead cap number is only $6.2 million. And you could save $20 million by getting rid of him before his age 31 season.
That's huge. For a guy, again, that you have so much concern about whether or not he can stay on the field in the first place, if you can move on from him, if this does go sour that quickly, that easily, wipe your hands clean, that's it. I mean, that's huge for the Green Bay Packers, especially a team that I think so far this offseason has been really confident in their wide receiver room and the guys that they've had there. Jaden Reed gets the contract extension. Matthew Golden gets kept around. You move on from Romeo Dobbs and Dontavian Wicks. You give Christian Watson this contract extension. I mean, this is huge for the Packers to give them a little bit of a safety net when you give so much confidence to those guys.
Legitimately, the only big year at $24.5 million is the 2028 season. That's it. And then if you're done, you're like, we're done. We're moving on now. You can boogie after the 2028 season, save yourself a bunch of money, and move on to the wide receiver position. And if it does work and you're happy, you can renegotiate, extend the contract, do what you got to do.
What that tells me is that that's what the Packers think the window is right now, is 2028. If you get to that point and you haven't won a Super Bowl or gotten to a Super Bowl by that point with the money that you're spending on Jordan Love and Micah Parsons and now Christian Watson, that at that point you can start – again, cleaning your hands of some of these contracts and reset at least a little bit and give yourself an opportunity to move back. So that tells me this Packers team starting this year should be ready to be Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they do look at the next 2 to 3 years as their window. Before then, they would have to reset, reload, whatever. They aren't going to ever rebuild under Gutekunst. It's just not going to happen.
The Packers, you want to stay competitive as much as possible.
Correct. So you're never going to do that. It's going to be a reload, a reset, whatever. So do you feel any better now about the extension than you did before? Now that we read to you the numbers, what they actually are, what it actually looks like. Maybe you didn't like it before. Are you feeling better about it now? Or are you still not happy that they gave Christian Watson all this money because he hasn't been able to stay healthy? Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, streaming live on X, on YouTube, and on Instagram live at WI Sports Radio. Come hang out in the Dugout YouTube chat as well, and streaming live on the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page too. So the other part about this, and I've heard the other shows talking about this Watson deal since it happened, which is, well, we need him to play 16 games every year. I think you're happy that he plays 16 games. And I shake my head. I'm like, there's just no chance that's realistic. There's no way. I think the target's got to be closer to 12 to 14. I was going to say 13. I don't think that's real. I'll say 12 to 14 games where you think he's going to miss 3 to 5 games a year every year. And if you're comfortable with the number you're paying him, and surely he's worth the number that you're paying him the next 2 years. I mean, a cap hit this year, what did I say it was? $10 million. If he plays 12 or 13 games, that's worth it. Cap hit next year of 11.5 if he plays 12 or 13 or 14 games. Again, I'm fine with that too. The biggest thing for me isn't that he misses games from, week 8 to week 12 or week 8 to week 13 or week 1 to week 5. I don't care about any of that stuff. All I care about is he healthy? Is he 100% when you start the playoff game, the first playoff game? And if the answer is yes every year, even though he misses 3 to 5 games every year, that's fine. I don't care. I just need him healthy in the playoffs. You don't want it to be, with all due respect to our boy Giannis, you don't want it to be where you get to the playoffs and now he's missing 2 or 3 games in a 7-game series. You're like, okay, and it's over, right? I mean, you can't have that. You have to have Giannis healthy and playing. Just like Jordan Love. He can't stay healthy either. He's hurt every year, but he's been there in the playoffs. That's what you got to have. And while Micah Parsons was great in the first half of the year, you didn't have him in the playoffs, so the season was viewed as a letdown because you didn't finish when you were 9-3-1, looking like the best team in the NFC prior to that injury.
Right. And I don't know if Christian Watson is nearly as important as Giannis is to any kind of championship run. But at the same time, what we saw in the second half of the season last year is that it very clearly shifted from Romeo Doubs being Jordan Love's guy to Christian Watson being Jordan Love's guy. And he was trusting him in a whole ton of situations. Matt LaFleur was trusting him in different situations. I mean, the one slant pass that he caught against the Bears and just took it to the house, like that's something I would not have expected from a Christian Watson. But the way he's developed, and if he can stay on this field, he has a ceiling to be this bona fide number one for the Green Bay Packers. And if that's the case, it's on a really great contract that we're looking at here. And I think that if it doesn't work out that way, like we've talked about, you have that kind of back out process in place for you built into the contract. But I don't expect that. I expect the relationship between Jordan Love and Christian Watson to continue to grow. And I expect Christian Watson to continue to grow as a wide receiver, but that can't happen if you're not on the field.
Correct. I agree with you. I think what you want, maybe we all don't agree on this, but I think what I want him to be Rodgers Devontae or Rodgers Jordy. I want that. I want him to get 10 to 12 targets a game and make him one of the focal points of the offense. Or he's getting 8 targets a game, Tucker Kraft's getting 6 to 8 targets a game, and then, Reed and Golden get whatever is left. Like, that's completely fine to me. What's not going to be completely fine to me is if we get through, 8-10 weeks of the season and there's games where he has 3 or 4 targets. No, not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. You have got to figure out a way to get the ball in his hands and let him do his thing. He has to be the thing. And his dad, who's on X, I haven't seen him on X in a while, so I don't know if he's not on X anymore or not, but his dad, who's on X, has been preaching for the last 2 years. There'll never be a number one wide receiver in this offense unless you start throwing the ball to somebody like they're the number one wide receiver in this offense and give them the target share that all these other ones have to prove whether or not that person can or cannot be a true one in the Packers offense. And they just won't do it. That has to change. And if that changes, then he's going to outperform the contract probably if he stays healthy.
I was talking about this with Mason Crosby last week when I filled in on the Mason Crosby show for Tommy when he was off on Friday. But we talked about how it feels like this is Brian Gutekunst setting that hierarchy for Matt LaFleur by setting the contracts the way he is, by not wanting to give these extensions to a Romeo Doubs or keeping Dontavian Wicks and choosing to trade him instead. This is Brian Gutekunst in the front office working with Matt LaFleur saying, hey, all right, we need to start moving in a direction with this offense. Right now, it feels like we've gone in 18 different directions over the course of the past 3 years that Jordan Love has started. We need to start picking a lane. And this is us telling you that we have a lane that we've picked through the draft classes in the past couple of years. You've set an offense that's been able to work at points throughout the season. Let's attack with that and focus on that. And I think there can be big jumps for this Packers offense as long as Matt LaFleur is willing to go along with that. And I think he is. And as long as Jordan Love is willing to go along with that. And I think he is.
And that is, I think, the biggest question. You're saying going along with it. It's going to be completely on Matt LaFleur at the end of the day if this is going to work. Because, number one, if he doesn't want Jordan Love winging the ball 35 to 40 times a game, and I'm one that don't necessarily want that. But if he's like, no, I don't want to throw it that much, then it's going to be hard to get everybody the targets that they want to get the big deals that they, in their mind, rightfully deserve, but they don't have the numbers to prove it. And I'm sure Romeo Doubs is like, damn, if I would have been somewhere else where we threw it more, I probably would have had a bigger deal on this second contract than what I ended up with because of where I was. And the same thing with Dontavian Wicks to a certain degree. Now, he dropped a lot of balls.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But in Wick's case, now you're going to see what he can do in Philadelphia. There's no more A.J. Brown. So he's going to get a bunch of balls thrown to him, and now you're going to see his true potential. And if Dontavian Wicks goes out and balls and all of a sudden blossoms into this great wide receiver, what's going to happen? Packer fans are going to point at Matt LaFleur and go, you wasted him. You had him. He could have been that guy, and you never gave him the opportunity with the amount of targets that Philly is, and now look what he became. To me, that is the biggest thing. Are you going to, A, trust Love to throw the ball more, which a lot of Packer fans want? And number two, are you going to trust Christian Watson to let him go be that true dominant one? Or are you going to continue to play we're not going to have a one and we're just going to spread it out everywhere?
On the other side of things, Romeo Doubs has already gotten overshadowed in New England. They went and traded for A.J. Brown. They've given a couple contract extensions. They made other moves to strengthen that room. But if he doesn't play well this season, if Dontavian Wicks goes out there and gets more targets to start the season, but all his issues are now on a bigger stage because he's getting more targets and in Philadelphia, that it ends up screwing him in the long term, and he ends up not getting those targets at the end of the year. If that happens, does Matt LaFleur then get praise from the fans, or does that just go quiet? Does that not get registered, or is that all just Brian Gutekunst then that, oh, he was smart to move on from these guys, he was ready to go, he knew it? Does Matt LaFleur get any praise for those guys not succeeding then?
I don't think Matt LaFleur gets any praise unless they go to a Super Bowl. Charlie, I think most people are fed up.
That's not true, because you said whatever happens with Malik Willis, Matt LaFleur probably gets praise.
Nationally. I'm saying this Packer fan base, most of these Packer fans are done with him. And they have been. Most of these Packer fans were livid that Ed Policy gave him an extension. He has to take them to a Super Bowl. If he does not give them to a Super Bowl, these Packer fans are going to be like, still haven't done it. Got to go. Does not matter. They could get to the NFC Conference Championship, lose on some last second play, regardless if it's a defensive blunder or whatever, they're going to point at LaFleur. It's going to be his fault.
8 moments throughout that game where they think they could have won it.
Correct. Yeah. It's going to be his fault. The only way I think maybe he gets away with it, and it's Goody's fault, is if the kicker blows a game in the playoffs. And it's Goody's choice to go with the 6th round kicker over having a true vet in there.
Well, and the fans just seem to hate kickers more than anybody else at any given moment whenever they mess up. So.
That's very true. Charlie, Sounds of the Day coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Sparky with you. Charlie Usen producing today's show. Don't forget the leadoff show tonight, 8 o'clock with Tommy Wirtz right here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Maybe you're listening to us on The Game, 710 The Game in Duluth, Superior. Maybe you're listening to us on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan in Milwaukee, or on 99.7 FM WNFL in the Fox Valley and Green Bay and Appleton, or 93.9 The Game in Wausau. Wherever you may be, you'll have the leadoff show tonight at 8 o'clock. Maybe you'll also check out the post-game show tonight, Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show. Tommy and Charlie after the game, scheduled from midnight to 1 a.m.
Maybe we'll push
last
for 4
night
a.m. tonight.
Last night it went to 2 a.m. So Charlie's asking for more innings. He wants to be here longer.
It was fun. I was tired for sure. I went home and immediately.
But you had to
fell
have
into bed.
some adrenaline and stuff as that
I
all was going
fired
on.
up. It
You had
was
to be
fun.
wide awake as that
It
thing
was a
playing
lot
out.
of fun. No, but like honestly, I just love baseball. So when you're just seeing home runs flying from both teams back and forth, it's nice to have your favorite team end up winning at the end of the day. But it's still so awesome to watch a game like that. I love it. I know people like the purists of love the pitching, love starting pitchers going 8 innings of no hit ball,
Right.
shutout ball. I love this. I love 20 run games, stuff like this.
I also, I don't think we've officially announced it yet necessarily, but we will take this time to do it. We were talking about the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. So, we're in Green Bay and Appleton. We're in Wausau, Duluth, Superior, Southeastern Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Also now on in Madison on 94.9 WOLX HD2, the Fan Madison. That is where we are calling ourselves there. So 94.9 HD2, the Fan Madison. Make sure to check that out. Matt in Madison called in earlier. So there you go, Matt. Now, instead of having to stream us or whatever the case may be, you have a HD radio or even HD radio in your car, which a lot of the cars now do these days that are being made. All you got to do is go to 94.9. You click on your little HD thing, go to HD2, and you'll find the Fan Madison there, so you can listen to us in Madison now, too. So Green Bay, Appleton, Wausau, Duluth, Superior, Milwaukee, Southeastern Wisconsin, and Madison, all part of the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. So thanks to everybody checking us out in Madison. We just started last week. Wanted to make sure we were up and going and everything was good before we officially announced it, and all is well. For those of you tuning in, may not have known we do this every day at this time, but here we go.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Okay, Charlie, where are we going?
All right. So first up, we're going to head on over to the NBA Finals from last night. The San Antonio Spurs head to New York and steal a game from the Knicks, making the series 2-1. In this game, the Spurs came in with a little bit more of an aggressive mentality, and Jalen Brunson felt the results of this twice.
Another hot start for the Spurs. A lot of post wrestling going on down there as Hart comes up.
Brunson's got to be smart, though. He's already got one foul. Watch this play. This is what frustrated Brunson. Oh, whoa. That's, excuse me, that should be a flagrant one. I can understand why Brunson, and then Wemby's laughing at it. And Brunson's got to be smart. He can't retaliate because that would be his second foul.
Another Nick turnover. They've got 7. Behind the back pass. Harper left wide open. Can't get that to fall. And a loose ball foul is going to go against the Spurs as Brunson is down. Brunson will shake it up. And Brunson usually one of those players that bounces right back up.
Crowd seen the
I can tell, was he holding his back? Crowd just saw the replay. Rick Brunson, dad and assistant coach, wants him.
Play that they need to look at. This is a good box out, but that you put your body on the line, you know what's at stake here.
We will review this foul to see if it meets the criteria for a flagrant foul.
Well, clearly an offensive foul. The impact and the follow-through could sometimes lead to the flagrant.
So he gets absolutely trucked on that play. He did not have the ball or anything and just got trucked. And that's 2 times. The Wemby thing, Wemby just like tossed him aside like a rag down.
Grabs
like,
his head and
boom,
just throws
him down. Right. No foul, no call, no nothing in this game. There was another situation in the game where they made a call on one end, then they didn't make a call on the other end, and Mike Brown, you could literally read the lips, is talking to the referee. He's like, hey, man, you called this down there, and you didn't call this down here. And guy's like, oh, bleep. Yeah, you're right. Like, this just can't be a thing right now. Charlie and I were talking about this off the air, too. It's kind of like the Spurs, Mitch Johnson, their head coach, they showed him the Pistons bad boy videos, highlights, and said, this is how we're going to play in the playoffs. We're going to play like this. If they catch us, fine. We'll end up with a bunch of fouls. But we're the youngest team in the playoffs. We have got to garner respect. We cannot get punked and let these guys push us around on our first run through the playoffs. And this all started in that Oklahoma City series. That's really when this all started. They were being nice until that point. And then they had enough. Remember Wemby allegedly, telling his guys to go
take them out.
Right, to go get dudes. Okay, but it worked. They got through that series. They won. Last night, they go back to playing like how they were against the Thunder with Brunson as the target this time, and they win again in Madison Square Garden where the crowd was raucous. They were into it. They eventually shut them up and sent their little booties back home after spending all that money to get into that arena last night, and the Knicks lost. And now Game 4 is coming up. Good luck, Mike Brown, if y'all lose Game 4. Because if y'all lose Game 4, we're going back to San Antonio with the Spurs with a chance to win. Oh, buddy. Like that, not good. There's, in my opinion, there's more pressure on the Knicks to win Game 4 than there is on the Spurs at this point.
I think so.
There's no question.
Well, and this Knicks team is in a deeper phase of their build right now. And I think they need to be a little bit more concerned about a window closing eventually in the future, that they need to win a championship now. This Spurs team, they just had the second overall pick, and now they're playing in the NBA Finals. They got time. They don't need to be as worried about this.
Correct. So you have Spurs Knicks tomorrow night. Then Game 5 is Saturday night back in San Antonio. So regardless of what happens in Game 4, they get to go back to San Antonio to have at least one more game before it comes back to New York for 6, back to San Antonio for 7 if we get to that point.
And the NBA just loves this. This is people talking about basketball. This is what you want. What they've been talking about for the past 5 months hasn't been NBA playoff basketball. It's been aspiration suits and the LA Clippers trying to get around that. And it's been the NBA draft lottery. And how do you fix that?
The rules,
and all these other things that don't have to do with basketball. And whether or not this is people being mad at the Spurs for Wemby throwing Jalen Brunson to the ground or doing crazy things, at least they're talking about basketball. And that's what Adam Silver cares about.
No doubt. And I guarantee you there were a bunch of people watching that game last night. All right, Charlie, what's next?
Next up, we're going to stick with NBA Finals and hear from Knicks head coach Mike Brown. And he says there needs to be opportunities for fouls to be called on both ends.
Opportunities for fouls to be called to at least try to even the free throws out. Now, we didn't play good. San Antonio played great. We could have played better. There were a lot of things that we didn't do that we did in Game 1 and Game 2. But to go 24 free throw attempts in a second half, that's 48 for the game if you think about it the way that they called that second half, compared to 8. All the shots we took, we got fouled 4 times, roughly, for 8 free throw attempts. Again, I don't complain much. I never thought I'd see that in an NBA Finals game.
And I will simply say this is not the first time we have seen big free throw differentials in NBA playoff games or in NBA Finals games, or however this plays out when you want to look at it. And what happens? You have to make the determination as a head coach. Do you want to go in the media and cry about this and try and get the referees to look harder and change things? Or do you want to shut up and be a nice guy? And I was reading a piece earlier today that said Mike Brown normally will talk with the front office and everybody before he makes the decision to go out to the media and do what he's about to do. So that there was a planned attack by all thoughts that he went in knowing what he was doing. Now, will it work? Will he get them on his side with a different crew and not Mark Davis in this next game, in Game 4? We'll find out. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think you look at kind of most situations, New York trumps everybody else. Like if New York's in the finals, that's who the league wants to win in most cases. I think right now, this is the one scenario where the league does not want New York to win. I think right now the league wants Wemby to win, and they want Wemby to be that face of the league. And I think if they didn't want that, then he'd have a flagrant foul and be suspended for this next game after what he did to Jalen Brunson. But when you have moments like that where it's so obvious, or Stephon Castle doing what he did, and it's so obvious, and the league is just not doing anything about it, that says that they are rooting for Victor Wembanyama. And frankly, I don't blame them. That's what they need to do as a business, is promote the best player that is going to be the future face of this league. And it is him. And he's proved that throughout the playoffs.
Correct. And I think the NBA wins no matter what happens in this NBA finals.
Right.
They win no matter what. If the Knicks win, it's crazy because it's New York and everybody goes nuts. If the Knicks lose, then everybody's talking about how the Knicks get back. Will they get back? All of that. But your future star is now on the mountaintop, Wemby. And now in a league where we haven't seen back-to-back champs or 3 of 5 or anything like that in a minute, now maybe the Spurs get that. But now you got the Thunder. They're going to regroup now going into the offseason. So lots of good stuff for the NBA. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Up next, Green and Gold Update. We'll tell you about Packers minicamp today in Green Bay. Don't go anywhere.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, hour number 3, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, if you're listening to Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, your day starts each and every day, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor Thomas, Josh Albert. 9 to noon with former Packers fullback John Kuhn and Rami Makaloff. Noon to 2, the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis, Packers all-time leading scorer, Mason Crosby. And then this show, Wisconsin Sports Daily, with yours truly, Charlie Usen, over there producing Other Side of the Glass. And it's Tommy Wirtz with Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up from 5 until 6 o'clock coming up today. And then, of course, we have coverage of the Brewers before and after every game, 1 hour before the game, leadoff show with Tommy Wirtz tonight, 8 o'clock, game 2. Will we see more, the same, or less runs scored tonight, Charlie? You'll be on the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show with Tommy after the game tonight as Tim Allen is in Vegas as a fan participating in this craziness. So more or less runs or the same tonight, game 2. Gasser on the mound tonight, not Harrison.
No, I think it's going to be less, but not by a lot. I think it's still going to be a high-scoring game. I'm expecting like an 8-6 type of game tonight between these two teams.
I'm going to say more because I think they went through their pitchers, and now you're going to have to see what they've got left. And from a Brewers perspective, I don't know. Like Chad Patrick, right? You want to see him if you can get it. Trevor McGill last night, what was said there? Pat Murphy after the game, why didn't Trevor McGill pitch? Well, he's got some discomfort. He's got some discomfort. Right. Where? Now, I didn't hear anybody ask him where. So elbow, shoulder, I have no idea. But that's not good. We don't need Trevor McGill hurt next. Like, that's not something we need to see as a Brewer fan base going forward. But I hope it's not high scoring. I hope it is low scoring. I hope you're right. I hope there's some sanity. Because I swear to you, if this game ends like 13-12 or something like that again, and we see 10 home runs hit in this ballpark again tonight, like, good luck going forward if you're Pat Murphy trying to figure out who is going to be left to pitch coming up tomorrow before an off day on Thursday and you come home to play Philadelphia.
Yeah, but I also said yesterday on the postgame show that I have faith in Brandon Sproat in that last game of the series. I think he's going to go out there and pitch really well. And I think it's going to be a situation where he can kind of redeem himself a little bit.
If Harrison's getting hit all over the ballpark, I'm not quite sure how you can possibly have faith in Gasser or Sproat at this point.
I don't have faith
after
in
what
Gasser.
happened last night with Harrison. I look at this and go, they're going to give up at least 10 runs. I don't see how they don't. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Brewers win 10-2. That would be great.
Yeah, right.
And I hope there's not 20 home runs hit in this baseball game tonight. Well, pardon me. As a fan, you love seeing a bunch of home runs getting hit in the game, if we're being honest.
It was so electric yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. 4 o'clock. Let's go.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
Okay, let's get to Packers mini camp today. Now, I will tell you that my brain knows the answer to this. But I feel like the rest of me is like, yeah, I don't care what your brain thinks. We're just gonna put our heart into this and react emotionally to everything and act like it's the end of the world or it's the best thing in the world and screw knowing what common sense says.
Usually you get to that common sense point though. You just have that moment of excitement and then you dial it back.
I try. How excited do you let yourself be when it comes to OTAs or mini camps or training camp? Here. Now, I think OTAs mini camps are different than training camp. I think there's more to learn in training camp than there even is in OTA mini camp because now at least you have pads on. That is a much better indicator than what we're having now. So how much emotionally do you let yourself get all worked up, positively or negatively, when you hear on Wisconsin Sports Daily, Sparky and Charlie talking about what happened at mini camp practice today? Because I got some stuff, right? How excited do you allow yourself to get? Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. So obviously I wasn't physically there, But based on what I've read from Ryan Wood, Andy Herman, and others in attendance at minicamp, it appears that Jordan Morgan may not have had the best day and that Lucas Van Ness may have had a great day.
Which is awesome.
Wait, right. See, now this is the other thing that we talk about, right? Because you're on this side, yeah, defense, woo! And then on this side, you're like, oh, Jordan Love's going to get killed this year. Oh, my God. Right? So it's the good and the bad, one on each shoulder, battling each other about I should be excited about Van Ness doing something, finally, or should I be petrified that Jordan Morgan may not be the answer at left tackle? And then your brain comes into play and go, dude, they're in shirts and shorts and there's no pads. Like, chill out. It's not end of the world. But I always have a hard time chilling out. It's not end of the world when you start seeing some of this stuff.
Well, and from personal experience playing offensive tackle, practices like this, they suck. You can't do anything. You can't really grab the defense end. He gets to work all of his moves, but you're not really allowed to be as aggressive, as physical as you can because you don't have those pads on. So it just usually doesn't end up in your favor. One-on-one drills in general don't really typically end up in your favor because you're truly never really one-on-one unless you're just one guy on the line. Everybody else usually has some help in that play. So it's not always that realistic. I think in a moment like this, though, when you have Jordan Morgan, who's in this high pressure situation, moving into that left tackle spot and supposed to be the left tackle of this future after the past couple of years being truly unsure of what he is. And now you feel like he can kind of fit into that. And then having Lucas Van Ness on the other side be that secondary pass rusher potentially to a Micah Parsons after having the same kind of hopes for him eventually on this team. I think both of these positions are huge for the future of this team. And it's understandable to look at them and be slightly concerned about one or the other, be excited about one or the other when you know both of those spots are huge spots that need to be filled to keep Jordan Love healthy, to give Micah Parsons a break eventually on defense.
You know, and that's the rational fan, right? That's Charlie, the rational one, speaking from experience versus the rest of us being emotional with no experience whatsoever, just losing their minds over every little thing. So rationally, I know, don't get worked up about Jordan Morgan. And don't even get all that super positive about Lucas Van Ness at the end of the day. How do you view then wide receivers and corners in these type of scenarios? Because to me, that feels like a fair fight.
You're definitely allowed to be a little bit more physical when it comes to those 7-on-7 type of competitions. I think wide receiver is really the position that you're looking at the most. Wide receiver and kicker right now are the two positions that I think you want to see as a Packers fan, how they're doing. Because,
I saw no kicker reports today.
Smack went 7 for 8 today, hit field goals from 51 and 52.
Good. Okay. Not perfect, but good. We're getting there.
Better than the first.
I'm guessing the conditions were better than the last time.
I would assume so. Again, it feels like it's been pretty muggy, pretty dry everywhere across the state.
Not super windy like it was the last time where he struggled.
No. So I think when you're looking at this wide receiver room, you want to see a Matthew Golden have these big plays like you heard in the first practice. He had a couple drops too. That's something worrisome when you're not getting hit as hard. You shouldn't really have drop balls. That can be a little bit of a concern because that could be a problem that can keep going throughout the system, persist throughout the season. And when you are getting hit, you're going to drop more balls. So that's something to be worried about a little bit. And quarterback to some degree, I think you want to watch him a little bit. You want to watch Jordan Love. You want to watch Tyrod Taylor. Make sure he's going to come and be that Malik Willis replacement that I think a lot of people want. At the same time, don't put too much weight on any of this. Those are just the positions that I think you could put the most weight on if you wanted to.
Speaking of Jordan Love, he talked today to the assembled media. He talked about Christian Watson's contract extension.
I'm happy about it. Super happy for Christian. I think anytime anybody gets a contract extension, it's great news. And, it's just a testament to the work he puts in, the type of player he is, who he is in this locker room. But I'm happy for him, happy to get him for another 4 more years. So something we got to keep building upon and keep finding ways to be at our best.
I think that is obviously good for everybody involved. But like we talked about, last hour, they've got to let these two go to work now and go be the next Aaron Devontae, Aaron, Jordy Nelson. They've got to let these two go form that bond and go. If they do not, and that is not how they want to run this offense, then is not going to be as great of a deal as maybe it looks like right now. Because right now, if he becomes, that guy that gets 10 targets a game, this is a steal of a deal. Like Packers struck gold and did a great deal. if he gets, not that many targets consistently, or he's missing 8 or 9 games every year, then obviously it's not going to look as good. Now, it's not going to look horrible, even if he does get to that point. These first 2 years are nothing. He doesn't really get a real number to year 3 of this deal. When we get to 23, 24 million, that's it. And then the year after that, they can boogie and get out, save a bunch of dead cap money, like $15 million if they want to get out. So really, it's 3 years and they can leave. If they like him, they can keep him for the 4th year and then be completely out after the 4th year if they want. So they'll have options depending on how well he is playing at that point. But obviously, you're happy if you're Jordan Love that you get your number 1 wide receiver, regardless if people want to call him that or not, locked up.
Well, and I don't really think you're mad if any of these top 3 guys in your wide receiver room, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, or Matthew Golden, end up being the number 1 wide receiver this season too. Matthew Golden's a first-round pick that you just spent last season. You want to see what happens.
That's a big leap of faith calling him a 1 right now.
I'm not saying, but if he does become that, I'm just saying you're not mad about Christian Watson then failing or Jaden Reed's contract failing. If Jaden Reed ends up being the 1 this season, his contract looks like a steal too. And now you look really smart for doing that deal too. You really don't look like a loser unless all of these guys failed this season. The only way you end up not winning on this is if Tucker Kraft has to come back week 6, week 7, and pick up an entire workload for this wide receiver room. If one of these guys can just be that number 1 guy, you look like a winner.
Jordan Love talked about having his wide receiver locked up for the next 4 years contractually.
Great group of guys right there. And so, like you mentioned, to have those guys knowing that they're going to be here for the next couple of years, it's great. It's great for us as an offense to just keep building upon, the just continuity we got together as a group, keep building the chemistry and just trying to find ways to get better and better every year. But they're great players. And, I think for MG, obviously he's the youngest, but I can't wait for him to keep building and attack this year. But I'm excited about just having that group and the things we'll be able to do.
The other part about this too is Jordan Love was asked, who's that guy we're not talking about that maybe we should be talking about? Savion Williams. So we'll see how they use Savion Williams, because Savion Williams can be a big play guy downfield like Christian Watson, right? He's a taller, bigger, more physical player that can go up, catch the ball at the high point, separate from defenders and all of that. Now, what was not got him in college? Dropped too many balls. That's why he fell. Athletically, he's right there. He's right there. He can do everything you want him to do. Plus, he can be the gadget guy out of the backfield because, again, he is so physical, and I don't think he's brittle. So from that standpoint, you can use him like you used to use Randall Cobb or those guys back in the day and give him some different looks. You saw that last year with the jet sweeps with him and putting him in different situations. They ran a jet sweep today in the mini camp too with Savion Williams, so that obviously must still be in the playbook for the time being. So I think maybe, he becomes that X factor player on the Packers offense that at the end of the year, we're having a conversation of, damn, who saw Savion Williams having that big of an impact for this offense? And if that occurs, providing everybody else is healthy, that really could take this offense to a different level if he ends up being a big play guy.
And that's really going to be the case if Josh Jacobs has to miss any time. I think right now you still have to be a little bit concerned about that. And if Savion Williams can come in and be that gadget style guy coming out of the backfield occasionally for you, especially if he who shall not be named can't get going at some point in the season or is injured again to start the season, because that's what seems to happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't trust that Chris Brooks isn't really a number 1 option for you. Savion Williams can fit in and be a Cordero Patterson type player for you if you want that, or can be that really true 4th wide receiver that gives you options where Tucker Kraft may give you options while he's still injured in that kind of 1 to 2 yard space, and see if he can make some magic happen with his athleticism.
Interesting stuff from Matt LaFleur earlier today too, talking about the running back that shall not be named that was drafted a couple of years ago and we've seen nothing out of. The fact that they had to learn him, meaning that they need to treat him maybe a little bit differently than they treat everybody else to try and keep him healthy. Now, this one here is new to me. So LaFleur, again, paraphrasing, pretty much said that we had to tell him not to go 100 miles an hour in every single thing we do in practice. That there are some things that you can casually kind of just go through. And then other things, we want to see the burst. We want to see what it looks like. But according to LaFleur, that's kind of what was happening of how he was kind of getting hurt, because he was going 100 miles an hour in every single drill, every single rep. and was potentially overexerting himself and potentially getting himself hurt. So now they got the kid gloves on and trying to keep him in a bubble to keep him healthy, get him through preseason, get him to week 1 so he can actually play in some games and maybe actually play in back-to-back weeks. If that happens, then we'll talk about him by name again going forward. But until he plays in back-to-back games and comes out of after 2 games healthy, I'm not bringing up his name because, again, Andy Herman quote tweeted something today about him and said, "Nope, I'm not getting excited again." And that's just true. Like, it's hard to get excited. Talent-wise, the kid's a stud. Like, we knew he was a stud coming out of college. You saw it. He's got the explosion. He's got the shiftiness. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's got everything you want, except he can't stand that.
Let's see if he's a stud 2 years after when he hasn't really truly touched a real football field in that 2 years.
You saw him running the ladder drill or whatever on the ground. He looked pretty quick to me.
He did, or I don't know if Chris Brooks just looks slow because he
could be because he ran. Yes,
kind of offsets a little bit. I can't get excited about him at all up to this point. And I think that when I look at this Packers offense, you really truly have to start planning ahead on how to, again, move forward without a Josh Jacobs.
But see, that's the crazy thing. You went out and
go pass first.
Right, but that's the thing, though. That's the crazy part about this, Charlie. They went out and said, okay, we don't trust our young guys behind Jordan Love, so we're going to go get a veteran in Tyrod Taylor. Why aren't they doing the same thing at running back?
Maybe just
why don't you protect yourself with Nick Chubb or whoever it may be?
Because maybe you just don't feel like that's enough of an option. Nick Chubb did not look good last season.
Agreed.
Joe Mixon is another option that's out there, and he got injured and also just hasn't always been the best character guy for your locker room, and the Packers seem to really like and value that above some other factors. I don't know if there's really that veteran running back that you go out there and you find that is going to come in and make a big enough difference in that span that you may be missing out on your true veteran running back.
414. I'm very surprised that Sparky hasn't had a heart attack yet. The way that he can't ever be calm. Nope. My whole life. People told me that I'd be dead by like 25 or 26, have a heart attack. Still going, baby.
I think your heart's stronger because you keep putting it through all this stress.
Still going. I've doubled the number that most people thought I'd live to. Yeah. No, this is how it goes. So yeah, hang in there. Hopefully I got this another 20 years and we'll still do this together. I mean, worst case scenario, I have a heart attack on the air. Charlie takes over. We get huge ratings. And I'm in bed and Charlie takes over the show.
I bet I'd win an award for just hopping on air and figuring it out, you know?
Yes, right.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool. Right?
I'd be lying on the ground. Charlie would be kicking me. Sparky, are you all right? Sparky. I was trying to resuscitate
Sparky,
him.
when you're feeling it, make sure you're on air, all right?
Right. If it's going to happen.
We're going to go viral, man.
If it's going to happen, you might as well do it on the radio, right? Now, hopefully God's not listening on. If that's what you want to do, tomorrow's the day. Good luck to you, Charlie. It's all you going forward. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears, go to the Milwaukee Bucks. Terrell called in before the show earlier today. I've not forgotten at 2:00 with some news that got me super excited. It got my brain working quickly. So we'll talk about that involving the draft. But there's another trade scenario that got pitched out there concerning Giannis and the Bucks. This one involves a 3-team deal that involves Milwaukee, Boston, and Houston. I'll talk about that coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Speaking of the Potawatomi Sportsbook, how about that kitchen over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook? Oh, my goodness gracious. Huge food menu. All-day brunch with steak and eggs, steak and bagel sandwich, pancakes, and more. Deliciousness is what that is. Wisconsin-style appetizers that feature a lot of cheese, of course. It's got all things chicken like wings and tenders. Build your own burger. Desserts highlighted by the MVP Turtle Sundae. Tons of cold beverages to go with your all-star meal. Must be 21 to enter the casino and bet above the rest at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel in Milwaukee. All you got to do is go to Potawatomi.com. All right, got an update here from the Milwaukee Brewers on some injuries. We'll get to you before we get to this Bucks topic. Brian Fitzpatrick, partial UCL sprain, seeking a second opinion, has returned to be announced. I would assume that he's probably done.
Probably. It's just a sprain, though. I guess that's a little better, obviously, than a tear, so you can maybe get through that. That kind of sucks. I feel like he was a guy that not a lot of people had expectations for going into the season. Got a couple opportunities at the MLB level. The first time didn't go all that great, but he looked like he had promise. He's a tall dude who can throw really hard. I mean, that's always something you got to love from the Brewers.
Agreed. DL Hall expected back in late July from his left pec strain. That's a long time. That's a month and a half.
Hopefully that gives him enough time to recover and come back to what he was doing. I think he was starting to have that breakout season, and really would be really awesome to see him continue that after a couple months off.
That's a severe hit to the bullpen. Logan Henderson's projected return from back tightness is now early July.
Okay. Really early July?
So now if it's me, I'm saying after the All-Star break.
That feels late for back tightness.
Mm-hmm. Well, they gave him an injection.
I guess, yeah, and that's never always a good thing. That's so tough.
No, you normally, again, I'm not a doctor, but you start doing injections, that normally means you're on your path of surgery at some point.
Yeah.
That's usually what that means, but we'll see. Todd Rosiak also tweets out, Jared Koenig is scheduled to pitch tonight at Class AAA Nashville and could be back in another week or so.
This is his 6th appearance, I think, with Nashville. I feel like that's also a long time to be giving a guy to go through this. And he's pitched really well at Nashville. I feel like he should be ready to come back up, especially with the news of DL Hall now.
It would be nice to get him back. So you've got Philadelphia this weekend after a day off Thursday, and then you have another day off, and then it's Cleveland, I believe, the Guardians. It would be nice if they could get him back for that Guardians series next week.
I think that's probably what they're aiming for. Yeah, that would really be a huge help to this bullpen.
Brandon Lockridge, minor league rehab assignment, should be upcoming soon. And Quinn Priester will next throw 5 innings, 70 to 75 pitches on June 13th. After last night, what do you have? 3 wild pitches, a hit, 5 walks.
53 total balls thrown, I think, out of his 75 total pitches. Yeah.
Not right. Brandon Woodruff will throw 4 innings and 60 to 65 pitches tonight in the Arizona Complex, rookie Arizona Complex League, which is where Priester pitched last night as well. So we'll see what Woodruff does. I would assume, and this is Sparky speaking, not the Brewers, that he's going to only have one of those. So he's going to go there tonight. If he looks okay, feels okay tomorrow, I would imagine they put him back into the rotation right away, and potentially you see him in 5 days. We'll see how this all plays out.
Bad? What if he has a Priester start down there?
Woodruff, I'm pretty sure, has told them previously that he does not want to go on rehab outings. So they convinced him, obviously, to do this rehab outing, but I don't think he really wants to do rehab outings or outing, singular or plural pick.
So you're just going to trust that he's going to be okay when you bring him back up to the majors if this doesn't go well, though?
I mean, not go well meaning what?
Like Priester,
what's not
like
go well?
If it ends up being disastrous somehow, he doesn't have any velocity still.
Then no. Then no, you can't, obviously. Yeah, no, I agree. But if he goes out there and he's throwing 94, and he pitches 4 innings, doesn't give up any runs, and strikes out 3, then yeah, you're back in the rotation next time through, I think, and we see Brandon Woodruff. Okay, got to talk about some Bucks here. We try to talk Brewers, Bucks, Packers every show as much as we can. So, as has been the case here, every day you can go on social media and find a bunch of different trade scenarios for Giannis and the Bucks. And I saw another one. Now, this one that I saw would involve the Bucks getting back a different type of package. Boston receives Giannis. Houston, the Rockets, get Jaylen Brown. Like, that would make sense to me why the Rockets would want a veteran star player to go along with what they have already. Does that make sense? The Bucks would receive Jabari Smith, Reed Shepherd, Dorian Finney-Smith, who then they can trade because you're not competing anyhow. A 2027 and 2029 first-round picks via the Suns. I like that. And a 2030 first-round pick via the Rockets. And by that time, Durant's old and gone, and who knows what Jaylen Brown looks like by 2030. So that's intriguing. I don't think I'm going to like any package that they get, but Reed Shepard's a nice player. I like him. He's a nice player. Jabari Smith probably hasn't lived up to the hype train that was put on him coming into the draft because of where he was drafted. But the first round picks from the Suns, that's not bad.
I think that's the only thing I like, though. Like, I'm not in love with Reed Shepard by any means. I don't think that's really a player.
What do you think? You think he's AJ Green?
I guess, and maybe a little bit shorter AJ Green too. Like, it's just doesn't excite me as a player that I think has a super high ceiling as an NBA player. And Jabari Smith just has been disappointing to start his career. They've consistently found other guys to overshadow him. He comes in as a nice role player, but if that's what your ceiling's going to be, that's not worth it either. I need a young star, and Jabari Smith isn't that. Reed Shepard isn't that. I need somebody else who's bona fide in the league already, and on top of those picks that you're going to come in that are going to be the gamble. I can't have 2 gambles on top of 3 other gambles.
Do you like the Miami deal better?
Yeah, Tyler Hero's he's been an all-star. He's that young player who's been a star, and even Khalil Ware is another player that I think has a higher ceiling right now than a Reed Shepard for sure, and probably around the same kind of ceiling as a Jabari Smith.
Ware falling out of the rotation from time to time with Spoelstra is not a great indicator that I want Khalil Ware. But either way, when he was out there and playing the right way, yes, he produced. Trell, north side of Milwaukee. You're up next, Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Trell?
Hey, what's going on, Sparky? So that package has been out there for a while, the one you're talking about as far as Houston, but that's only if Houston were to get in the fray, which we don't know exactly
correct
who's talking because everything's so quiet right now. But I think that the best package, because I really believe now they're probably going to trade him to Miami. So, but I don't like the report saying that the Bucks want to keep Tyler Hero. I don't want him because I want the guy who they worked out. There's A-Cup Jr. That's who I want. And I believe that they could send Tyler Hero to Detroit and get a 2027 first-round pick, another pick, and some players for salary purposes. Or if Memphis is willing to tie a first-round pick, even though I don't want Morant, I'll trade him. Get Morant, send Morant to Phoenix, a couple more bodies, and keep that first-round pick. So I'm able to move a pick because I have 2 picks this year, and that pick from next year or other picks I get from Miami, I could move a future pick to get to that number 5 spot where I think a sweet spot where you'll still be able to draft A-Cup Jr. Because I'm trying to figure out why is it so quiet that the Bucks worked him out. That's not like he's projected to be a top 5 pick in the draft.
Right.
So why would his agent allow him to work out for a team that's 10? And what are the Bucks thinking about working him out? It's got to be something in the workings or something. I'm thinking.
So I came up with my own little out of thin air idea that I pitched to Charlie because you called in and you said this to Charlie off the air. So then immediately you got my brain spinning like, okay, how in the world did you get up to the top 5 to go get A-Cup? And you have a situation down I-94 where they're claiming we're not rebuilding, we're going to compete for a playoff spot, blah, blah. Charlie's rolling his eyes. But that's what they're talking about down there. What if it's a 3-team deal? And what if Giannis goes to Boston and Jaylen Brown goes to Chicago and you end up getting that pick at the top of the lottery from the Bulls this year?
What else can the Bulls give you, though? Because you're going to get majority of your parts from the Bulls if that's the case, because Boston's already given up Jaylen Brown. So they may give up another pick or so.
Sure.
They may because of getting Giannis, but you're still going to get majority of your parts from the Bulls. So what else? I mean, the number 4 pick is a very good pick in this draft. So
and you'll have to have salary of some sort that will come back. And Charlie over there, we can go over the salaries and the Bulls or whatever else. I'm just saying, in order to get up there, I mean, even if you had 10, let's say you made the deal with Miami. Let's say you have 10 and 13 or whatever that number ends up being. Even if you package 10 and 13, I don't think if I'm in the top 5, that's good enough for me to move back. There is a talent drop off, in my opinion, once you get past about 8, definitely after 9, then there's a big old moat, I think, between that next level of player in the first round. That top 5 is special. I don't think if I'm the Bulls or if I'm the Clippers, I'm willing to move back, even if you gave me 10 and 13 at this point.
But what if the Clippers aren't ready to rebuild? What if Ty Lue wants a veteran point guard that he's seen play? What if you can send the 13 pick and Tyler Hero to the Clippers to get the 5 pick? They get an all-star, a former all-star point guard who can score.
Yeah.
And they still get a pick in the lottery, even though it's a late lottery. And maybe you give them something else too. I don't know, but you get the number 5 and you keep the number 10.
Yeah, that's great.
Out of that deal.
If you figure out how to get that done, I'm in. You're going to take salary back for Tyler Hero, whatever that is with the Clippers. But yeah, sure. I'm in on that. Sure, I would absolutely do that. A, I don't want Tyler Hero. And B, I love Darius Acuff. That's my guy in this draft. So yes, I'm 1,000% in. Yeah, that's who I want to, Trell. Thanks for the call. You don't got to
probably have to take back, like, again, if they're taking on Tyler Hero, Darius Garland fits in that kind of price range. Outside of that, Bradley Beal would probably be somebody that you'd have to take on. Like, there's a couple players from the Clippers that would be frustrating to take on in my mind. But
if it gets you Acuff,
I mean, you got to try.
Because that's the thing. And that's why I'm so frustrated with 10, because I don't think there's a legit superstar necessarily at 10 or that guy. Now, again, who knows how these guys all turn out, right? I mean, we're all talking about the top 5, and 1 may work out and 4 may not.
Do you think Giannis was going to be a superstar? You think Giannis was going to be this when they drafted him at 15?
No, I didn't think Giannis would be this. No, I've talked about this before. I didn't. I thought he was going to be like Kirilenko or something, where he was going to be that gadget guy that could do different things.
Was a dog.
Yeah, right. But he ain't this.
No,
he ain't this. In fact, I believe Caron Butler said the same thing that I said. I think he said Kirilenko too. But when you saw Giannis, you saw somebody like, oh, poor man's Kevin Durant. Like, you could see
it was there.
Like, if it all worked out, what it could look like. But nobody thought it would get to that point because he was so raw. He was so thin and skinny, and there's so much that had to happen and go right for it all to work. And it did, and it got you a championship. And now, if you lose him, to me, the biggest key is, do you have a foundational superstar or potential superstar that you can build with? And Acuff is that guy. DeBonsta's that guy. Now, Boozer, I don't get the Boozer love. I'll be honest with you. I don't. And everything I read is a lot of these teams have Boozer as one on their board over Peterson and over DeBonsta. And if that's the case, God bless you. I hope it works out for you. But I don't see that dude being a guy that is going to be the one. I don't.
Well, frankly,
maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think DeBonsta. I think he could be the one on a championship team. I think Boozer could be a one on a playoff team. I don't know if he's Giannis, LeBron, Durant, all that. Like, I don't think he has that. DeBonsta, I think, could have that. I'm not sold on Boozer.
Yeah, but if you can be Jaylen Brown, if you can be that type of player that still goes and wins a championship for a team, maybe you need a little more help around you. You need another player of your caliber around you too.
Tatum was always deemed as the one on that team.
But Jaylen Brown is still a guy that I think is highly respected across the league, one of the top 20 players in the NBA. If you can be in that range, that's still worth a top 3, top 5 pick to at least take that chance.
Right. But those are the 3 guys at the top, right? So DeBonsta, Peterson, and him. And then in my mind, it's Acuff. That's where I go next. Now, everybody can have their own guy that they like. But that's why this idea of working out Acuff, I agree with Trell. What are we doing? Like, there's no way he's falling to 10. There's no chance.
Unless they got some inside information, but I don't know how the rest of the league doesn't have that either.
So they have to be thinking, John Horst has to be thinking in his mind, I have an idea of how I can get into the top 5 to go get him. And whether that's a 3-way trade, I'm telling you, y'all can laugh what you want. That Bulls team would take Jaylen Brown in a heartbeat, even if it meant giving up a top 5 pick, because that makes them a playoff team next year. Instantly. And you sell tickets. Fan reaction is positive. People are buying jerseys, excited. Jaylen Brown goes to another big market in Chicago, and he can be the guy to put him back on the map. He would love that whole concept and idea, like Harden loved the idea of putting Houston on the map.
And then we can all watch the Bulls lose in the first round of the playoffs every year for the next 5 years, like they always
That's
do.
your problem. I'm just talking about from a Bucks fan standpoint of how we get Darius Acuff Jr.
Right.
That's the thing. Like Utah, right? So talk about Utah. So does Utah want Jaylen Brown to the point where they would potentially give up that pick and Giannis goes to Boston? I mean, does Jaylen Brown put them over?
No.
Maybe.
I don't know if Utah.
Maybe.
Jaren Jackson's got to stay healthy. Lauri Markkanen, I still think
they got talent.
he's a good player. I don't know. They just don't feel like a championship team, even with adding a Jaylen Brown to that
I don't
squad.
know, man. They got a lot of good young players on that
I
team.
think there's just going to be less teams in on a Jaylen Brown than I think people are expecting in my mind. I don't think there's going to be nearly as many teams. And it's kind of the same with Giannis. We've seen that throughout this whole process of the offseason so far. Like more teams are dropping out of the Giannis sweepstakes. I think that's just going to be the case across the league.
If I'm John Horst, my best friend is Brad Stevens.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm going to go crash at his house. He can come crash at my house. But we're going to be inseparable because in order for us to get what we want, if he wants Giannis, it's got to go through. It's got to be a 3-way deal or a 4-way deal, whatever it ends up being. It could be 4 teams, whatever it ends up being. And we've got to work together to go find the teams that are going to make Milwaukee happy so Boston can get Giannis and they can find somebody to go get Jaylen Brown and the Bucks get what they want. That's what they want. Because if they don't find that, then he's going to go to Miami. Boston's going to have to deal with them against Miami with the Heat kind of going forward. And I'm sure they don't want to do that, even though that roster is not going to be the best probably when it's all said and done.
If they have to do that, they're probably not moving on from Jaylen Brown then because they need to be able to compete with Giannis in the Heat.
Yes. I just, to me, Brad Stevens and John Horst should be inseparable right now. They should be working together to get this whole thing done. I really do think so. Got somebody asking, have you guys discussed the Luis Lara deal yet? Yes, we discussed it in the 2:00 hour, but don't turn the channel. We'll discuss it a little bit more and things that Sparky missed because got some more stuff on the Milwaukee Brewers to talk about as well. That's all coming up straight ahead. Don't forget the Queen of Spice, Wendy's, is taking their already hot and juicy beef and making it, well, hotter with the new jalapeno ranch cheeseburger. It's topped with jalapenos and ranch for the perfect balance of heat and flavor. But it's only available for a limited time, so get a bite while you can. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. C. Sparky Fiver, Charlie Hughes, on the other side of the glass. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Words comes up from 5 until 6 o'clock. Leadoff show with Tommy Words from 8 until 9 o'clock. Game 2, Brewers Athletics in Las Vegas tonight. If it's anything like last night, you better go take a nap now in anticipation of staying up to the wee hours of the morning. Last night's game goes 12 innings. Did you see how long the game was last night?
I think when I didn't see the official time, but when we had got off, we theorized it was about 4 hours and 10 minutes.
The official time was 4 hours and 14 minutes.
Okay.
4-1-4.
That, I think, made it the longest game of
It
the
did.
2026 season then, because
Mhm.
before that, it was the Yankees versus the Marlins, which was like 357.
Right.
So by a mile, it could beat it. Yeah.
No doubt. Some of the stuff that we missed on today's show, Luis Lara in agreement, according to Jeff Passan, not official word from the Brewers yet. 7 years, $31 million for Luis Lara, the AAA outfielder from the Brewers, 21 years old. So there is a thing going around that I saw of, this isn't that big of a deal, because if you exercise this all the way through what he would be making through the amount of his contract until he becomes a free agent, it's roughly in the same category of like a William Contreras and some of these other guys. But also has been pointed out on X that there is a belief that part of what's going to happen in the CBA is teams are not going to have as long of control as part of their negotiation. So they may be willing to give up a year or two of control over their players in exchange for something from the players union, whether that be whatever it is that they're going to get back. I have no idea. But they may be willing to give up a year or two of control, which would not be good for small markets. And that may be what's going on with the Brewers right now, of they're anticipating potentially losing control of some of these guys. So they're trying to steal a free agent year or two if these CBA rules change.
I guess. I just feel like then if that's the case, and maybe you don't want to start an avalanche of all these other teams and halt any kind of progress you're making towards the CBA discussions, but then why would you start with him? Why don't you just go with Jesus Medei and try to lock that down as fast as possible? Andrew Fisher, lock that down before any other numbers from any of these other top prospects start getting higher. Why would you start with Laura then?
No doubt. Laura, 338, 447 on base, 500 slugging, with 7 home runs right now, and hasn't played in several days as they've been trying to work on this deal. Other things that we haven't gotten to that I wanted to get on, this Paul Skeens story, I don't know if y'all saw it. He's driving by a Little League baseball field, saw the lights were on, pulled into the parking lot, got out, and walked into the Little League complex as games were going on. And everybody obviously went nuts, took pictures, signed, was playing catch with the kids as well. Was there for like 2 hours, they said. And they've got video of Skeens out there. Like, that's awesome. You had Mizorowski with that kid in a baseball card store the other day. And now this here with Paul Skeens. This is the type of thing that sports needs more of.
100%. It wasn't even games. It was practice that he
practice,
stopped
is that
by
what
and
it
just
was?
came
Yeah.
by. So that makes it even more meaningful in my mind, because it wasn't a big thing. He literally just saw some kids running around in a field and said, hey, I want to go hang out with them and surprise them and make their day. That's really cool. You need more of that for sure.
They'll never forget that. 3 highest OPS players in MLB since the start of May, right? So it's on base plus slugging. Number 3, Wilson Contreras, 980. Nick Kurtz of the Athletics, 1.037. Number 1 since the start of May, Jake Bauers, 1.040 since the start of May.
I don't know. You don't play MLB The Show, but they do these things called like the Lightning Rewards and Players of the Month. Jacob Mizorowski was the final reward this month. I just got him today. That was awesome. But Jake Bauers didn't have a card at all throughout like this whole month of the Tops Now or the awards things. I thought that was blasphemy. He deserves one. I hope he gets one in June if he keeps playing.
Something else, if you saw this, Pat McAfee in contract negotiations with ESPN that will pay him upwards of $65 million per year.
They love that, man. Man, I don't get it. Like
$65 million per year.
I think he gets lots of good guests.
Now,
I think he has a lot of personalities on his show. I don't understand $65 million.
Now, in fairness, not that it really matters, but in fairness, he's got to pay all of his producers. He's got to take care of all of that, right? He's got to take of set changes. He's in charge of all that. And then another part of that money is for College Game Day that he does and all these other random things. He was doing the NBA game last night and some alternative broadcast I saw. I turned it off quickly because it was him and a bunch of players. So that was the end of that. I moved on quickly. But yeah, $65 million. Whew. That is a lot of money, Charlie.
Should I ask for that for my next race?
What could they say? Just no, right?
Yeah, they can only say no.
They can only say no. It'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Coming up next, again, Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Wirtz from 5 to 6, and the leadoff show from 8 until 9. And then it's Tommy and Charlie tonight after the game with the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show right here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Have a good night, Wisconsin. Toodles!